It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
Hey, good morning, Minneapolis. Good morning, St. Paul. I hope everybody had a great weekend. A special day tomorrow. It's Marcus Theater Tuesday. Means any movie for only $6. Only on Tuesdays. Only at Marcus Theaters. You know, we start off the week with a couple of love nuggets. Despite their public closeness, Prince Harry and Meghan are having multiple problems. Harry is scheduled for a trip to the UK next month for the Invictus Games. He's very involved in that. And Meghan says she doesn't want to go. They're fighting about that. And is it true? They're living way, way above their means and have some money problems. I'll keep you posted. Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt's 5-year divorce war continues, and last week Jolie fired another mortar shell attack against Brad, claiming Brad verbally and Brad physically abused her and the children. I guess it took her 5 years to remember that. Look, I don't know what happened. Who knows what really happened? However, I do know this. Ever since coming to Hollywood, Brad loves his ganja. In fact, Brad likes the ganja so much, he is considered the most relaxed, mellow dude in Hollywood. Kind of hard to believe he'd be out there verbally and physically abusing women and children. I don't know. But I wonder what one of her two or either of her two ex-husbands would say. She was married to Johnny Lee Miller for 4 years, married to Billy Bob Thornton for 4 years. For the record, Brad and Angelina separated after 4 years, got back together a couple times for the kids, but that was it. Box office results in a big, big week for Marcus Theaters. Last week there was talk that Monkey Man or The First Omen could dethrone Godzilla versus King Kong. I said, I just didn't see it. I didn't think either one of those movies were better than Godzilla versus Kong. I didn't see it. Well, here are the top 5 movies from last weekend. Box office results. Number 1, still number 1, Godzilla versus King Kong. Number 2, Ghostbusters. Number 3, Monkey Man. Number 4, Kung Fu Panda. Number 5, Dune 2. And for the record, number 6, The First Omen. Today's Eclipse Day, and I am in Dallas, Texas today, where the eclipse will be right perfect, except it'll be pouring rain all day. So, guess I'll miss it. Hey, have a great day. We'll do it again tomorrow. I'm Mike Evans. See ya.
Hey, this is Steve Gorman, and this is the best of the KQ Morning Show on 92 KQRS.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
Well, I did think it was interesting, something I noted also that I wanted to mention, a new British study. So, you know, they're smart over there. They got those accents and everything. A new British study found that playground bullies, and by the way, they invented bullying over there with all those boarding schools. You know what I mean? That's just the home of bullying, Great Britain. Bullies are on the playground more likely to grow up and become professionally successful and more likely to earn more money in middle age than those who were bullied on the playground.
Yeah.
Researchers found that people who are bullies as children are also more likely to have higher job satisfaction and have more desirable jobs.
Yeah.
It's a ringing endorsement for bullying, say the Brits.
Best.
And again, that's because, I mean, you know, this is, you know, I used to bugger all the boys at school, and they talk about, like, you know, hazing rituals that involve the term buggering. It's like for a laugh over there. And it's like, wait a minute.
Remember the Monty Python? Remember the Monty Python skit where they would have all the, I don't know if it was rugby or English football or what it was, but all the, like, senior kids playing all the junior kids, and they were just creaming the crap out of them, and the faculty's out there just having a great laff about it.
That's how it goes, man.
Yeah, that is how it goes. It's bullying. Well, you know, there's that fine line, too much bullying, right? But, I mean, you need a certain amount. It's, you know, you don't want to have your kids too coddled, but they've got to learn some hard knocks and how to take care of themselves. Chris Rock agrees with the English.
We need bullies, man. You think kids were nice to Mark Zuckerberg in high school? Shit, he invented Facebook after somebody smacked him in the face with a book. He invented Facebook just to get friends. We need bullies. Pressure makes diamonds. Not hugs. So I hug a piece of coal and watch what you get. You get a dirty shirt. I'm telling you, we need bullies. That's why there's so many fat kids in school right now. Because there's nobody to take their lunch money.
Speaking the truth.
Hey, it's true. I mean, there's a lot to be said for that. At an age, I was in the, I was in the bullying circuit, just trying to avoid bullies as a kid. I was never the bullying type. Although I look back, and then you recognize, but not never being a bully, but still being a complete smartass to younger kids and letting people know. There were times when I'd be like, okay, hey, you're pushing it, kid, and I can crush you if need be. But I never went out of my way for that. But I endured bullying as a kid for sure.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
Chris Stevens, who insisted you call him Grub, that wasn't what we called him. That's what he made you call him. Hey, Chris, my name's Grub. he was like a kid from a Stephen King novel. He was horrible.
Yeah, yeah.
He stole my first bicycle and openly mocked and laughed at me about it. And then my mom went up and talked to him, and he was like, "What are you gonna do about it?" To my mom at the pool.
Oh my God.
And when you're 6 and a 16-year-old tells your mom, "What are you gonna do about it?" It's like, oh my God, he's like a member of the Manson family.
Yeah.
It was
we
crazy.
We had one, Rick Matthews on the bus, and he would do that where he would turn his class ring around and bang you on the head every time he walked past you, throw your stocking cap out the bus window, and and I remember going home and sniffling and telling Dad about it, and he's like, "Well, better do something about it." But if Dad, to his credit, did give us ideas, like how to verbally go back at him. I'm like, what? What do you think's going to happen after I verbally, go after Rick Matthews? But, Dad did actually intervene in that one eventually. But, yeah, I mean, you've got to endure a certain amount and learn how to cope with it. It's, what doesn't kill you makes you tougher kind of thing. But, it's tough to.
Yeah, you boys had to deal with the physical bullying.
Right.
Mine was more mental. I mean, mine was bad, though, because I went to a really small private school for 6th grade because my mom went there and she thought it'd be cool if I went there. And no, Mom, it was torturous.
Yeah.
Ow.
There was this mean boy named Andrew Miller, and he used to sing the Ghostbusters theme song when I would walk into class because I was so pale, and they'd make fun of mine because I had white eyelashes and white eyebrows.
Right.
And then
I would have gone with an Edgar Winter, but I'm cooler.
Yeah, it was so mean. Then he got all the other boys to do it and the girls to do it, and I was just like the little freaky white kid.
Honey.
Oh.
And
You look back on it though and think it made you. You think it made you tougher, though? Because you're so cool, you roll with everything. We were trying to bully you earlier, tongue-in-cheek. But, I mean, you let things roll off you better than anyone I know, really. Don't you think that was part of it?
Probably.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really care what I look like now, so obviously,
Right.
Whatever, man.
Whatever, man.
Obviously, it all worked out. I got out of bullying. I mean, I was a smartass. I could go right back at a bully. Normally, the kids that are bullying you, they're not the wittiest. You know what I mean? So it's pretty easy to run a circle around them. And there's one of two responses. They either get angrier and smack you, or they go, "Hey, this kid's okay," and then they immediately want you to become their little, Grover Dill, the little bully's sidekick in Christmas Story. That was that little kid's name. They're the Scut Farkus.
What was it again?
Well, there's Scut Farkus is the.
Well,
the
everyone remembers that name.
Yeah.
No one remembers the name you just said.
Grover Dill is
kidding.
That's his little sidekick
Weird,
bully.
dude.
And I had several bullies in my life that I recognized, and then we would engage, and they would recognize in me, he's funny, I'll have him. And I was always like, well, I was saying that just to try to get a laugh from that kid over there. I don't want to be your assistant bully. I'm not going to be your bully wingman. But then I would act like I would be, and then I would just go home and be confused. I'm not sure how to handle this.
I remember coming back after a couple of years in the service, and I had filled out. I had grown into my manly body, and I fashioned myself a rather tough badass at the time, and came back to Woolsey. Not the aforementioned bully, but there was another guy that used to bully me around quite a bit when I was younger, and he was a big, one of these big burly guys, and I came back, and there he was. at the corner of the bar, right there at Bear's Pub, downtown Wolsey, just like in the movies, you know. I'm like, oh, baby.
Yeah.
Payback. And I walked up, and he was so drunk and pathetic and dirty and missing half of his teeth that I ended up buying him about 4 beers and got fairly drunk with him that night. You know, just was like, oh, what am I going to do to you? Beat up the town drunk? I guess not. So, you know, I guess life got him back for me.
That's usually how it goes. You just got it. Patience is the key. Or not. Just get a pool cue and just go to work on the guy. Either way.
It did occur to me.
Yeah,
I think
of course
back on it now, I'm not sure where the constraint came from. Maybe I was with a lady. I don't recall.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
We have to really make sure that at least once a day we put our minds together, we put our heads together, and we come up with, okay, we got to make sure we leave some people with some new information that's really important. And sometimes that information is awful and you wish you didn't know it. So instead of sprinkling them out throughout, how about we just lay it all on you right now? Here comes a whole bunch of crap you're going to wish you didn't know, but I encourage you to stay with us because some of this stuff, it's going to come up. There's going to be a conversation. You cannot imagine when or with whom where this will apply. For instance, in ancient Rome, okay, so don't worry, it's a long time ago. You don't have to necessarily get too upset about this. In ancient Rome, whitening teeth and fighting bad breath were very important to the ancient Romans. And so they used urine to do those two things. Yep. Also, powdered mouse brains.
Oh,
what the heck?
I mean, that's a delicate procedure there to extract the mouse brain.
I noticed, Gaseous, that you've got a bit of a, you've got a little bit of a brown tint to your teeth. Can I offer some pasted powdered mouse brains and some of my pee? Oh. Why, thank you.
Kiss ass.
Also, speaking of ancient Rome, and then we'll bring it up a little bit more modern day soon enough. They used to execute people as old societies did. You could, for any number of offenses, you could lose your life. They used to take a person that was executed. One of the methods was they would beat you pretty considerably and then sew you into a bag. Like, put a bag around you, sew it shut with a live snake or a monkey or a chicken or a dog. Anything that would, I imagine, go berserk at being sewn into a bag and then attack you and then throw you into the ocean.
I'm reading this.
Can you imagine?
Why add that layer?
As I read this, do you see an or in there? See, because what I'm reading is they throw them into a bag with a live dog, snake, monkey, and chicken.
Oh, that's right. Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. All of them into the bag.
Dog, snake, monkey, and chicken, and you sewn into a bag, and then into the ocean you go. I mean, what in the... Who cooked that one up, you Caligula?
Yeah, boy, I tell you what, that's some people chewing on leaves looking for a high and finding the right leaf one day and coming up with some ideas.
All right. I dare anyone listening, I dare you not to Google this next one because I tried not to the entire show. The next one on the list, I Googled it at the break. It's Google worthy.
I'm going to let you tell it then because I'm having a hard time with it myself.
A banana slug.
Yeah.
You know what a slug is. The old banana slug can be 6 to 8 inches, and their erect penis can be just as long, 6 to 8 inches. Also, that erect penis emerges from their head, and then after mating, banana slugs eat each other's penises.
Okay, first of all.
Wait, they grow back?
I don't know. I didn't get that far in the video.
This is my next Halloween costume.
The banana slug.
I think it's romantic. That's like a strong commitment right there if they don't grow back.
Oh, great. Now, if we're not eating each other's penises, Candace isn't impressed.
I'm just thinking about the fact that the slug itself is 6 to 8 inches long, and then their erect penis becomes just as long.
Out of their head.
Wow.
Man,
I mean,
incredible.
Talk about thinking with the wrong brain. It's the same brain. By the way, also fun fact, Sammy the banana slug is the mascot of UC Santa Cruz, University of California Santa Cruz. Their sports teams are the banana slugs.
What?
And they have a guy named Sammy the banana slug. I've seen Sammy. I've been to Santa Cruz.
That's not true. You're making that up.
I'm not. No, Google it. UC Santa Cruz, the banana slugs. That's literally the team name.
After they have to hose off after blowing the brains out, Travolta sports that in Pulp Fiction. He's wearing one of their T-shirts.
That's right. He is. Yeah, people probably thought that was like just a funny, weird shirt. No, it's a real thing.
Oh, I would have thought that was like the cigarettes, the red apple cigarettes in the movie that they completely cooked up. No, yep, you see Santa Cruz, Sammy the Banana Slug.
There he is.
There he is.
Okay,
he's obviously in a committed relationship.
Sure he is. Look at him. Most of us are not going to come across a banana slug. None of us are going to ever live in ancient Rome, so that's all well and good.
Yeah.
But here's a real problematic fun fact, unfact you wish you didn't know. Even if you are smart enough not to have a Facebook account, guess what? Facebook already has compiled a shadow profile on you. Facebook is collecting data from all over the internet. They got your age, name, location, interests, and the like to get to know you. So if you create an account, they already have information to send your way.
Bastards. It is. What's the end game for Facebook? Where's Meta taking all this? And
maybe
and the brain chip in the
Zuckerberg
brain?
finally gets laid and just gets over it.
Shuts it.
My God.
You're right. He just, he gets in, he has a rowdy weekend in the sack with someone and says, you know what, shut her down. It's not worth it. We're not going to do it. I don't need to take over the world in this manner. I got laid. I got my rocks off.
It would really help us all if Zuckerberg could just get some and just get over it and just realize, okay, I finally had sex. We don't need Facebook anymore.
Someone's got to take one for the team.
This is a true statement, and I've seen this before, and I've Googled it every time. Up until as long into the modern era as the 1980s, around the world, including good old USA, there were plenty of people in the medical world who believed babies did not feel pain, therefore would be operated on without anesthesia.
What?
They're crying anyway. It's just more crying.
Stop crying, you baby.
I gotta believe it's a different kind of crying.
Man.
When you cut into them with the scalp, that's holy frick. I wonder if when they figured it out, if a bunch of doctors went, "Oh man, I feel like a jerk."
I would certainly hope so. I mean, any new parent, it doesn't take long before you recognize there's different cries your baby has. You know, you can tell, and you don't even think about it. You just know. You become aware of it. That one kind of blows my mind. Panda bears. How cute are panda bears, Candace?
Oh, I love little pandas.
Don't you love pandas? Well,
Yeah.
guess what?
What?
If a giant panda gives birth to twins, guess what the mom does?
No, what?
Abandons one of them right away.
Oh, no.
So how cute are they now, Candace?
That's weird. They obviously still survive. I mean, they just have to live.
No.
That's why we put them in zoos. We'll take one. Yeah. Give it to the giraffe. Give it to the ape.
Every panda bear you've ever seen in a zoo was a twin left to die by its mom.
Dude, that's messed up.
It's like literally every time a panda bear delivers twins, it's like the movie Sophie Choice all over again. I'm just really trying to bum us all out as much as possible now. How about this? Odds are you have this is just as mathematically completely true. The chance of you dying on the way to buy a lottery ticket is far greater than your chance of winning the lottery.
Oh, I see the Powerball's up to about $1 billion. To rekindle our hopes. Just saying.
Well, that means Stevie's got to hit the ATM today. Oh my gosh!
Because this time you're gonna win, man.
I'm trying to think of what is the absolute grossest thing on this entire list. This might be it. Maybe the average mattress over the course of 10 years doubles in weight due to the accumulation of dust mites and all the dust mite poop.
Doubles, and that's why it's so heavy to flip. It's the dust mites and the fecal matter in there. That's why you're not supposed to sleep naked, Candace.
What the heck?
She's flummoxed.
Between pandas being bad moms and the dust mites crapping all over Candace's bed, this has been a bad morning.
There's
I'll
some
just
good
have to
news, though.
replace them, I guess, because I'm not changing my ways for no one.
No.
Heck no.
Whatever. Besides, what are you going to wear to bed? A diaper. It's going to go through your little sweats or nighties or whatever. It's going to get in there.
Nice.
There was an unfun fact I did not include that when we wipe, actually the fecal matter goes through about 10 layers of toilet paper. So if you're not wadding up 10 layers, you're getting some on your fingers. That's why we wash our hands. And play with our phones while we're on the toilet. But I think this is a fun fact here. I like this one. Your lips are made of the same skin type and texture as your anus. If you just want to get those two together.
Sure.
Interesting.
What a kiss ass.
Oh man, no question.
It's referred to as rimming, Tony.
All right, let's go back in time again. I can't stand the thought of my lips and your anus being made of the same material. So, during the French Revolution, let's go back in time. That's when the French were awful creative, and they introduced a little something called the guillotine, right? They were beheading people left, right, and center.
Yeah.
So they would line up a bunch of people to all be beheaded, and people would literally fight to go first. Why? Because after multiple uses, the blade would dull. And people wouldn't it wouldn't work on the first attempt. Sometimes people would have that thing drop 2 or 3 times before doing the job.
I think if it doesn't completely cut off your head, you don't get out of jail free, or with just because but it's already hit the back. It's probably paralyzed you. That's what you're hoping, that it breaks your neck and that you're not there for the third try on the guillotine. I'm fighting to get to the front of the line for the guillotine.
What do they do with all the heads?
Display them. Put
them
on
up on spikes, right? Pike, whatever,
Yeah, right, exactly. Display them, carry them around, man. It's a souvenir. Yeah, thanks for showing. It's like bobbleheads, You go to the baseball game, get the bobblehead. You go to Guillotine Day, the Great Terror there, and if you're lucky, you go home with a real human head.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I get real wound up when I'm late. I've gotten better at it. My kids will tell you, you're always late when you're taking us somewhere. Like my kids have a thing, and they're like, Dad, I'll say I got to go to my friend's house at 10, and you're like 9:50. We're leaving, and it's a 20-minute drive. Like they would call me out very appropriately for that, and it dawned on me. I think it was an underlying thing I always had. I grew up where if my parents said we're leaving the house in 10 minutes, you were down in the garage in 7 minutes. That's what 10 minutes meant 7. The first time I ever took the car out at night with my license, I was going to see my girlfriend. My dad said 10 o'clock. I said, okay. And he goes, that means 9:45, right? And I went, and he goes, 9:45. I'm like, okay, but it's 10. He goes, but that's 10. But, of course, I was home at 9:45.
Well, does that mean 9:30 when he says
exactly.
It's really 9:45?
So I just grew up with that. And especially this. If I was at school or at a friend's house, anywhere where I was waiting for either of my parents to pick me up, they never waited 1 second longer than it took for me to open the door of the car to get in. Like if I said, can you come get me at John's house? And my mom would say, I'll be there in 10 minutes. She pulled up in 10 minutes or 12 or 14. But the point was whenever that car pulled up, if I wasn't ready, she'd just keep going. That's how my parents raised us. Like, we will never wait on you, ever. Now, that's an extreme, and I can see, there wasn't a lot of play for, but something came up. But so my wife and I are raising our kids. I'll be like, I'm pulling up to school to pick them up, and they see me, and they finish the conversation they're having with their friend. And I'm like, it just starts boiling my blood. And I realize, and I would say, hey, guys, listen, I got a schedule. I'm doing things. If we say 10 minutes, it means 10 minutes. I'm like, okay, sure. But it just never quite clicked. And I think I was getting back at them subconsciously by always being a little late to their stuff. Because I'm an immature jerk.
I think my kids have PTSD. I kid you not. This came up again recently. And I said, well, I'll wait a minute for you. And she's like, oh, yeah, right. What? She said, wait? I don't wait well. I'm the guy that walks in, to a restaurant. What's the wait? If there is a wait, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
And I'll make a thing about it. Like, no, food's not that good here. or something like that. I'll make some jerk move. But yeah, I don't wait well.
I look around the room. I just try to vibe. Like if you say it's 15 minutes to get your table, you can go to the bar. I mean, I'll take a look, and but I don't know what I'm looking for. I guess I'm looking for a reason to leave, and then if I don't see it, then I'll stay. That's kind of how that goes. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, were you, Tony? Were you, when you were a kid? Was that something you remember? That whole idea of you better be ready when I get there. Were your parents big clock folk?
Oh God, no! I come from a family of procrastinators. My famous story is my granny. We went to go pick her up to take her to some dinner party or something, and she was in the living room, and in her little house coat. Like, Granny, we got to leave now. We got to go now. And she goes, I'm all ready. I just have to get dressed.
Yeah, that's
it
my
made total
line.
sense to her.
Yeah. Wow.
That's so funny. And my mom would always do the thing, like, she would have us go in the car. She'd be like, I'll be right out. I just have to grab this, and I'll be right out. And then she would be in the house forever, probably like puffing, puffing something, taking her sweet time.
Yeah, I'm not falling for that. I'm going to wait right here watching you. No, just go. I'll be out in a minute. No. And then you get out there and time crawls, although phones have made that a lot easier right now. I just go into doom scrolling or checking emails or something like that, watching, some videos of, I don't know, people falling off cars.
I still have a thing. And Rosemary will say, like, she'll look at me and say, let's do this in 5 minutes. And in that 5 minutes, I will then remember the 3 things I meant to do that I hadn't. It's like you have to put a fire under my ass. And then all of a sudden my life is spent cramming for tests. Ultimately, that's what it is. And it's like, oh, hang on. I'm just going to write this quick email. And she's like, you've been sitting here for 30 minutes. I'm like, I know. I didn't have a ticking clock. Therefore, I can't function.
Yeah.
You have to put the pressure on. You've got to turn up the heat. And then suddenly I'm incredibly productive and efficient. Yeah, it's kind of drives me crazy. Are you good with your boys? Like, if you go to pick up the kids and they're lollygagging, do you ever find yourself being like, guys, let's go? I'm the adult. Get in the car. Or are you chill?
I'm pretty chill. I get kind of cranky sometimes, but I know they'll go, Dad, I'll meet you in the car, and I'll sit in the car and I'll watch them like shoot baskets and play and wrestle, or look in the mirror and comb their hair. And I just sit there.
It's something, man. Yeah. All right. Well, I still find things about myself now that my kids are, they're adults legally. I mean, they're 21 and 23, and we still talk to them all the time, and they still, of course, need advice and support and different things. But I'm at the age now where I rarely do I hear myself. Like, I don't hear my dad in me anymore about anything. Like, because by the time I was their age, my dad and I weren't talking. And when we did, I didn't really care for what he had to say. I wasn't asking him for advice. But it was kind of a nice thing to realize by the time they were both getting out of high school. I was like, oh, I don't hear myself saying things I'm later embarrassed about nearly as often. This is great. When Connell turned 12 and 13 and started getting the rebellious thing, man, I had no idea how much of my old man was in me. It was shocking, some of the stuff I heard myself say. Yeah, boy. I was like, oh, hey, now.
My favorite line you have of your old man is, pizza. Oh, that's children's food.
Oh, yeah. I'm not eating pizza. Right. He had the one time we were at a basketball game at our school. There was bleachers on one half of the gym, and on the other half it was just like folding chairs they would set up for the games. Those tiny little school. And me and a buddy were just running around. The varsity was playing. We're like in 7th grade, and we're running around and just, kind of paying attention, but really just having fun in the gym. And my friend ran right by my dad, who had just had enough of people running around his chair while he's trying to watch a game. And he grabbed my buddy Grant's arm, just grabbed him, stopped him in his tracks. And Grant looked at him, and my dad goes, "Find a chair and use it." I was like, what a bizarre thing. And of course, I've never forgotten it, and I've said that for years as kind of a joke. But I was like, find a chair and use it. And I mean, if Grant had picked up a chair and smacked somebody with it, my dad would have gone, well, he found a use for it.
He became a lion tamer.
He did what I said.
Well, with the old wrestling move, wham, the chair over the head. I did use one the other day that was very much my dad, and that was Sid and I were in the basement watching television. And she said, I'm cold. And I said, put a sweatshirt on instead of, and then I sat there for a second and went, you know what, how about if I just bump up the thermostat. Yeah, let me just go over and give it another degree here. I thought, what? Go ahead. And she doesn't have to go get a sweatshirt. Just, go ahead and click it up to 68, Brian.
Oh, hey, by the way, that reminds me. I got a text from my son the other day. He's in his apartment down in school. He's got this cheap flop house apartment in Bloomington, Indiana. He goes, man, I just got the power bill for the month. It's like $110 for this little apartment. Doesn't that seem high to you? And I go, that seems really high. Yeah. I go, where's your thermostat? He literally goes, 74. I'm like, 74?
Oh, wow. What, are you retired?
I'm like, what house did you grow up in? I'm like, what are you, nuts?
Anyway. They associate it still with outdoor temperatures. My daughters would do that when they were younger, too. They're like, well, I like it when it's like 80 outside. It's a perfect day. Yeah, that doesn't translate to 80 inside, honey, is
totally
you're cooking.
Nuts.
You're literally cooking.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
We all know what a kilt is, right? A kilt, originally Scottish garment, resembling, it's like a wraparound knee-length skirt. Mm-hmm. The original Scottish Highland dress for men, first recorded in the 16th century as a full-length garment. And around the 18th century, they started shortening them, get the knees a little bit of fresh air.
Wait a minute. What you're telling me is that in Braveheart, that's not historically accurate. They were wearing kilts.
Possibly so.
Right around the 12th century. No, they weren't.
The small kilt or modern kilt emerged in the 18th century. So maybe they messed that one up on old Braveheart. Well, I mean, you had an Australian playing William Wallace. Right. So I mean, it's not exactly going to be the most specifically, historically accurate show.
Yeah, it turns out they messed up a lot of things in that. I was being sort of tongue-in-cheek. They screwed that up big time and a lot of other things in that movie.
They certainly did. My first time ever in Scotland, I had a day coach on tour, and the production manager we were off the highway. Suddenly we're in this deep forest on a narrow road, and we're like, dude, where are we going? And he's like, I just wanted to show you something. And we came to a clearing, and he goes, let's take a quick walk. And we took a walk through this wooded path to a giant clearing overlooking, like we were up in the Highlands, like a mountainous area. And there was this giant statue. And he goes, this is William Wallace. And he told us the whole story of William Wallace. This was in 1990. Yeah. And I, liking things like that, was fascinated. Everyone else was like, I'm going to kill this guy. Get us back. We got to get to Glasgow, man. And then years later, I was like, hey, that was kind of cool.
Sure.
We saw that statue before I ever heard about this guy otherwise. Huh. Tony Lee, you ever wear a kilt? Did any chance, I don't know, ever a moment when you rocked a kilt?
Thought about it. Not a flattering look for me. I'd be afraid of stray breezes. No, I haven't. But
Zepp ever had a kilt?
I did, over at O'Gara's for the world's shortest St. Patrick's Day parade. Nice. I donned a kilt over there 1 year. Nice. The traditional method.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing underneath, just the good old kilt.
Well, of course.
How about you, Steve-O? You ever rock a kilt?
I do have the legs of a Vegas showgirl, so you'd think that I would do this more often. Never. Well, I wore a kilt once. It was not personal. It wasn't in my own time, and it was a totally bizarre circumstance. It was at a gala event for the Boys and Girls Club years ago, and I knew one of the women that worked there, and she called. I'll never forget. It was a woman that had once worked with my wife, and so she called, and I was like, "Hey, how you been, Jen?" And I hadn't talked to her. She goes, "I got a weird ask. Do you want to come down to this event Saturday night? Martin Short is our guest. He's the entertainment, and he has requested." Like a member of like a football player, like some huge person to be do something in a skit, but the Titans are at camp and I can't get any of the Vanderbilt people to come. I need a football player, but you're not a football player, but you're big. And I was like, you had me at Martin Short.
Right.
Yes, the answer is of course. And here was the shtick. So he just does a one-man show, but it's actually with a guy accompanying him on piano, so it's two men. But Martin Short just gets up and holds court for 60 minutes, and it was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. But in the middle of this performance, he and I go backstage with him. I mean, I met him. We like sound check this, It was, and I'm just like so thrilled. But we both wear full Scottish costume, kilt, the wraparound, the white shirt, the sash, the tam on the head, the socks, the whole thing. And we walk out together and we face each other. And this piano player is playing like like a little march, like a thing, and we step out in sync together, and we turn and we bow to each other, and then he takes a step and he leaps into my arms, and I hold him like you'd hold a bride across the threshold.
Yeah.
And he takes his thumb and he sticks it in my mouth, and then I pretend to blow, and then he plays Amazing Grace as if he's a bagpipe. His legs and arms are kicking,
great.
and he's got his thumb in my mouth the whole time, and he's making the noise. And I'm holding him, and I'm just like, I really don't want to drop Martin short, because when he started swinging his legs, I kind of got a little slippery there.
Yeah.
And the whole bit takes less than a minute, and everyone's laughing, and then I set him down, and we bow to each other, and we walked off stage. That was it.
Fantastic.
That is fantastic.
It was incredible. Now that I'm thinking back, it was awesome.
Should have put some peanut butter on his thumb just to be thoughtful.
That would have been pretty good.
And you guys watch Only Murders in the Building?
Oh yeah. I didn't see I saw the first 2 seasons. There's a third one, right?
Okay.
I saw some of it.
They're shooting a fourth. Yeah, it's good. It's not fantastic, but just because of Steve Martin and Martin Short,
it's
very
perfect.
likable. I love it.
If you're gonna hang out with some people and you don't have to pay that close of attention and just be entertained, he's pretty great. So anyway, that's a whole lot of way to go. So all this kilt talk, we're about to take all the joy of kilt wearing and just destroy it for you. A man in Houston, Texas, not Houston, Scotland, was just arrested. He's 6 feet 6 inches tall. He weighs 250 pounds, and he is a kilt fan. And he has a whole different reason for wearing a kilt, apparently. My man went into not one but 2 different antique stores in Houston over the weekend. Both of these stores employ security cameras shooting video of of any customer in the joint. His name is Mitchell Vest, and Mitchell, in one store, picked up a makeup brush. And then also picked up what the police described as a hardware piece. At the second store, there's footage of him picking up an antique bottle opener and then some sort of a vintage tobacco can. Now, none of these items are necessarily worth a fortune. I mean, the combined value is just over a couple $100. But it was what he did with them. Zepp, I'm just going to let you take it from here.
You coward. As I alluded to in the tease, he stuck them up his butt. He took that's why he was wearing the kilt. Easy access, and they caught him on camera. This guy would put them in the no-go hole, and then once he was done with that fun little trick, he would put them back on the shelf.
Yeah,
4 items.
Just a little fun, weird little habit of mine. I just like to put things up me bum.
And they caught him this time. Workers said that they'd seen Mr. Vest around there before, and they described him as really nice. Yeah, look out for the nice guy. You know what I want?
Got a makeup brush, man. Right. Where is a makeup brush for a man's bum?
Now, listen, it's an antique store. We've gone in there and to antique stores before. They're a little musty. It's antiques. There's old things in there. I got to feel like I would had I picked up one of these, a vintage tobacco can up the butt and back on the shelf. I got a feeling I would be able to smell that. Anyway, here's the antique gallery manager, Susan, talking about it.
Remember when I was disgusted? That night, one of the dealers sent me a video that she had from a camera in her own booth. I think they've been in here before. The employees recognized them and said they were just, the guy was really nice and she was nice, and they just shopped around for a few hours.
What did they do with those products?
They threw them away mostly.
Mostly.
My buttocks?
Yeah, they said others had to be clean. I mean, it was...
The vintage tobacco can. Tell me, please, he put it back on the shelf and said, now put that in your pipe and smoke
it. Oh, my God. He's wearing like a... Is it bothering me? Why does it bother me he's wearing a black tank top, too?
It's so odd. You see a kilt, you want the whole look. You don't go kilt and tank top. You don't go kilt and wife beater.
How many things have you picked up at an antique store that have been up someone's bum?
That is the question. That is, and for the record, from now on, that will be the first thing I think when I go antiquing next.
Yeah.
Excuse me, have you seen a large gentleman in a kilt in here? Just asking. No reason. Just curious what the kilt scene is like in this neighborhood.
I mean, does he lube it? Is he doing it dry? Is it going all the way in? I'm watching some security footage.
No, you know him. He's like, there wasn't any lube at the Battle of Falkirk.
Yeah.
William Wallace wouldn't go for lube. He'd take a tobacco tin like a man, as will I. That's not even a Scottish accent, but you get the point.
Close enough, yeah.
Good
Really
Lord.
Nice guy.
Calm down, everyone. Calm down. It's just a tea kettle, and I'm man enough to take it. Jeez,
Don't ever trust anyone in a kilt ever again.
I don't think I'll be able to.
No.
Where have those bagpipes been? That's all I'm ever going to think.
This beats the guys up in Grantsburg. Called them the Elvi because they would come out to our Vegas shows dressed as Elvis. One year they came out in kilts and did the Sharon Stone and Basic Instinct. They all sat in the front row. Yeah, they did the leg change.
What a treat.
Many times. That's not a lot of manscaping up in Grantsburg, by the way. It's not one of their things they do. Not that would have made it any better, but hey, I mean, at least they weren't as far as we know.
Yeah.
I
lost a makeup brush in my shrubbery.
Hey, this is Steve Gorman, and this is the best of the KQ Morning Show on 92 KQRS.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
We mentioned this briefly. Mike Tyson is going to be in a boxing ring fighting and it's going to be the Dallas Cowboys Stadium, an event for Netflix, and he's going to fight a YouTube douchebag named something Paul. What's this guy's name? YouTube guy, TikTok star, celebrity. I don't know, just some guy who decided, like Jake Paul, decided I'm going to go be a boxer now, and he's apparently a pretty good boxer. And Mike Tyson's in his late 50s.
Yeah.
He's still Mike Tyson. I don't want Mike Tyson to punch me when he's 90.
I saw him training, for this big fight coming up. I was clicking around on the internet. Oh, there's Mike Tyson training today. It's happening. Let's see what kind of shape he's in. This Jake douchebag is going to get his ass kicked.
Did you see who Mike Tyson was training with over the weekend?
No, that might have been the video I watched, but I guess I didn't pay that close attention.
Well, this might come as a surprise, but Maynard Keenan, the singer, the frontman for the band Tool,
what?
is training Mike Tyson. Maynard Keenan is a black belt in jiu-jitsu.
Oh, I know.
All right. Well, he wasn't in the ring with him. I thought that's
no, but he's got to work. He's got he's got a martial arts academy in Cottonwood, Arizona. And first of all, I didn't know the lead singer of Tool was a jiu-jitsu black belt. I have to rethink some things now.
Before I heckle him?
My God, the front man who kicks whose ass pool just got a whole shakeup.
So he can break some of those moves out? He can pull out some jiu-jitsu?
I don't
know. Are they boxing or are they in the octagon?
I think it's just more of the workout. I don't think they're sparring.
Okay.
It was just, hey, come get a workout at my facility. And Tyson looks ripped, man. He's lean. Right. He looks mean, and I just can't get over the fact that there's again, I'm going right back to first of all, his name's Maynard. I've never Maynard to me, that's Appalachia. I mean, that sounds like that's a character on Andy Griffith to me. I've always been blown away by the fact that the dude's name is Maynard. And I'm not knocking the name. It's just such a rare thing to hear.
Yeah, we gave that as a nickname back in the day to a buddy of ours who still to this day says, "Don't call me Maynard." I'm like, God, it's been 50 years. Let it go, Maynard.
And then now to hear that Maynard is a black belt in one of the most just mind-boggling martial arts there is. I mean, if you see him lay on his back, run out of the room. Don't get near a guy. Don't get near a jiu-jitsu guy on the floor.
He's really bendy on stage.
Yeah, I bet he
is. Yoga squats and
contortionist, jiu-jitsu.
Bendy.
Does he do anything else? Is he a musician or anything?
I don't know.
You don't like Tool?
Tool,
I love
Perfect
Tool,
Circle
Candace.
and all that.
Raise your hand if you've seen them more than 5 times.
No.
You haven't? Okay.
2.
That's cool. That's cute.
That dude is. I'm just saying. Look, I've met an awful lot of frontmen in bands, and that arrogance carries it. What gets them up in front of a crowd and makes them great. A lot of them don't know how to turn that off when they're not on stage, and you just look at them and go, "What are you kidding?
Yeah.
You can't stop yelling. Stop acting like you're a tough guy." This dude actually is. I'm like, man, the idea that a frontman can literally kick the rest of the band's ass, that's so upsetting to me. That's just throwing the entire thing off. That's completely out of whack. I mean, Charlie Watts very famously threw a punch at Mick Jagger once. Jagger called him, "You're my drummer," and he punched him and said, "Never forget, you're my singer." That's the natural order of things.
Yeah.
You get all the hype, you get the attention, but behind closed doors, stop it. But God, not in the band Tool. Holy smokes, I'm very impressed with that. So, it's 2024, and Mike Tyson's getting ready for a fight. In 1984, you would have said, "Who's Mike Tyson?" And in 1994, you would have been like, still, he was in prison then, I think. So, it would have seemed impossible that 30 years after 1994, we'd be talking about a Tyson fight. But I, for one, will be tuning in. I will watch. I want to see what Iron Mike looks like at this age.
It looks like they might wear headgear for this, and if they do, then I won't watch. I'm not going to watch.
I thought it was no headgear.
Well, all right. Okay. Well, I was watching the video, and they said it hadn't been decided yet if they were going to wear headgear, if they weren't going to wear headgear. But yeah, Tony, I hope they don't. Then I'll watch it because I want to see this dude get his ass pummeled. I forget his name too, Jake something, right?
Paul.
But yeah, that's it.
The double first name dudes. I never have time for him.
Tyson beat him into submission. But yeah, if they've got the headgear on and it's just going to be a kiddie fight, then no.
If the headgear's on, that means more chances for Mike Tyson to eviscerate the man's kidneys and liver with some body blows.
I like to see facial swelling. That was always my favorite part of fighting, the facial swelling. You just don't get that with the headgear.
Every now and again, the shot to the liver, though, the right side trunk a little lower than center. When you see a guy take that punch and then he takes 2 more steps and then collapses, those are always like oh my God, that must hurt.
All right, you know what? I'm going to amend my statement. If he wears headgear and Mike Tyson gets in and just pummels him, but never once hits him in the head just to prove a point, just beats the rest of his body into submission, then maybe I'll watch. It's on Netflix, so I'll watch.
That reminded me. Do you remember the U.S. Open? Or there was a U.S. Open where
tennis.
Golf. Phil Mickelson was standing at 18, and he was like a guy in a bad movie, and he refused to not hit his driver. This is like 2007-ish maybe, and he gets up on the 18th tee, and his driver's been spraying all day, but he's in the lead, and it's the 18th hole on the last day, and he's like, "I'm still hitting driver," and everybody else has been hitting a 2-iron, and he flails his driver out of bounds, and he loses the tournament because of it. The next major that year, Tiger Woods played the entire Sunday round and never pulled his driver out of his bag. And I swear and they weren't even mentioning it. And the whole time I'm like, this is ultimate peak Tiger trolling Phil. Yeah. And no one wants to talk about it on the broadcast. And I was like, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. Tiger Woods is a lot of things. I never thought he was cool. He's like a little golf dork robot guy, actually. Right. I just play golf like crazy. But he was an incredible, at the top, like Tyson, at his best. No one's ever done it better. Mike Tyson had that brief little window of time when you would say, I don't know that Ali could have taken him. I don't know prime George Foreman could beat this guy. I mean, he's in the conversation. Tiger was there a lot longer. But that was the greatest thing I ever thought Tiger did. I was convinced.
That's phenomenal.
He didn't pull out the driver just to troll Phil from the last major we just had.
Right, in a major. I don't know if he did this, if Tiger did that in a major, or if it was just another...
it was the next major. It was like when the PGA used to be the last one.
See, for me, I thought he was cool when he nailed the Panakuchen waitress. I'm like, here's a billionaire sports hero banging a Panakuchen waitress. He's one of us. But that's better.
The best, when the Tiger stuff all exploded, there was the big Vanity Fair article. And the funniest thing to me about that whole situation, I mean, funny in the, it's nobody I know, so I can laugh at it. You know it is. But there was a girl that worked. There was somebody that he had spent. Maybe it was that waitress, but it was one of the many women who came forward to tell their story. And she said that Tiger took her to lunch at a Blimpie one time.
Blimpie.
That was the story. A Blimpie, not even a Subway. It was like Blimpie. It's like saying we went to, that's like an old we went to Burger Chef back in the day. Couldn't even get to the King. They went to Blimpie, and then she told her story about. And then at the end of the interview, the guy said, "Did Tiger ever give you anything? Did he buy you any gifts? Was there any? Did he throw things at you to impress you?" And she literally went, "Just the Blimpie." That's all he ever paid for. But that line, just the Blimpie. I was like, man, that's pretty special.
Freaking bumper sticker.
It really is. It should have just been a T-shirt with his face, just the Blimpie. It's not too late. Somebody out there would get it. Somebody would be like, "Oh my God, that's pretty great." So, I'm excited to watch Mike Tyson fight. You know how you hear about people who lose a limb, they still have phantom pains.
Yeah.
It happens. And whatever reason, you lose an arm, and then suddenly you wake up in the middle of the night and your arm hurts or whatever. You damn know well. Like, they announced this fight, and Evander Holyfield, wherever he is in the world, like, his ear just starts to ache. It's like, what the hell? What's going on? I feel something in my ear. Wow. Man, that's completely nuts. So yeah, it is not 1994. It is 2024.
Wow.
And Mike Tyson is preparing for a fight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
We flirt for 6 different reasons. Anybody want to argue this? First things first. Well, you just want to hook up. I think we all can agree.
Yeah,
We're just having fun. That's one. Here's another one. We're exploring just to kind of figure out what it might be like to date the person we're flirting with. Here's another one. We're just trying to increase intimacy. Don't know about that. We're trying to boost our own self-esteem. Sure. That's 90% of the flirting, I think, is you're just trying to see if just trying to make yourself feel good that you still remember how to speak to somebody. Or here's the last one. We're trying to manipulate the other person.
And giving you a raise.
Something. Guys like to be direct. Women prefer open-ended questions. How about that? Men prefer straightforward lines like, "You're cute, can I buy you a drink?" Women prefer when a guy opens with a question like, "Hey, what team are you rooting for?"
No, I prefer direct.
Yeah, I was curious about that.
Get to the point. Really? I don't have all day. I got stuff to do.
Don't want an interesting conversation. Just want to get it on.
Yeah, just
right. That's not flirting. That's negotiating. Yeah.
So you'd rather have a guy come right up and say, "Hey, can I buy you a drink? Let's get to know each other." You don't want to see a guy come up and go like, "I couldn't help but notice those boots. Fantastic. Is that Italian leather?" I mean, what? No. Okay, fair enough.
You just did it, man. You made her laugh. That's what you do. Open with a laugh and you're halfway home.
Oh, heck yeah. I learned early on, with this nose, I better be funny. Men overestimate how interested women are. No kidding.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
I mean, there's the studies that, over 50% of men think, yes, I could land a plane if need be. Of course we overestimate how interested women are.
Yeah. The best thing I often thought about dating, and I, dated for about 30 years of my adult life, was not very good at it, apparently, was that the best thing I had going for me was other guys. Guys are just so bad at, they just have no idea. You're in your own little bubble, and it's all about you, and women see through that pretty quickly, and every once in a while, they'll give you the pity date or something like that. But yeah, guys, just the things that dick pics alone prove that men don't know what the hell's going on.
That's very
guys
true.
That do that, they just, she doesn't want to see it. She might get around to it eventually, but women aren't out there looking at that going, "Man, that really gets me worked up. He's the one for me. Look at that wiener."
You can go really far in life by just shutting up. And letting the dudes around you continue to talk.
Yeah. Simple question and let her talk, and you're on your way, brother.
Jeff Cesario always used to say, for people moving to Los Angeles, he goes, if you just simply think before you answer a question, take 2 seconds and look like That's a good question. Let me think about that. He goes, if you do that in L.A., within a year, you can run a cult. People will go like, this guy's got some deep insight. There's something special about this guy.
True.
He goes, just pause before you speak. That's all it takes out here. That's literally all it takes. Women on the opposite, by the way, they underestimate how interested a man might be in them. So you've got the complete women will often not even realize. I'm just going off this study. These scientists, doctors come up with, not doctors, but like university professors who look into this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Women won't even realize the guy's flirting because they just assume, there's no way he'd be interested in me. They're just being nice.
I don't know. I asked Marie out like 5 times, and then finally she's like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "Yes. Every time I've asked you to go out with me, I've been serious." She said, "Oh, I didn't think you were being serious." I'm like, "Nope. When a guy asks to go out, he's being 100% serious. It's never a joke. Never now. No, I was just kidding around. I don't want to go out with you."
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, women. I always just thought it was the hard to catch thing that they had going on. I'm like,
how did you ask
for it?
Was it like, we should get together sometime?
Well, first time out, dick pic. Right
of
there.
course. There you go.
I'm like, need I say more? How's that for an invitation, right? Just follow it right back to me. I don't know. No, I did it. I mean, first of all, we met on Match. So there was a whole thing there. That was the thing I kind of gave her grief about. I'm like, we're on Match.com, where you ask people out. Oh, yeah, I guess. But no, not I guess. This isn't a casual conversation on the light rail, So I think I asked in, a fairly gentlemanlike way. I wasn't brutish about it, like, hey, we should hook up or something like that. But, she just wasn't buying it.
Guys tend not to flirt with the most beautiful woman in the room. They generally, because they're intimidated. You see a lot of
that must be why guys never flirt with me.
That's exactly right.
You're
They're scared to
intimidating
death.
as hell.
Generally, what guys are looking for, and I think this checks out. Guys tend to flirt with a woman who makes direct eye contact. Whoever's making the most eye contact, that's going to be. It's that simple. Like
she looked at me.
Yeah, exactly. That's all it takes. I mean, all of this adds up to guys are just toddlers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just do this. Just stare at a dog for a second. That dog will what? Make eye contact? Huh?
Yeah.
Are you looking at me? Jump up and come right to you.
Sure.
Guys are no different.
That's very true. I definitely responded always to, like, in a situation, if all I was looking for was someone who wasn't trying to be. I was guilty of this, and then but at a certain age, everyone's just too cool. Everyone's so cynical. Everyone's over it. And I can remember very specifically moments where I'd be chatting with somebody and suddenly realize, like, oh, we're just actually talking. And then as soon as I would remove even a thought of, let's see where this goes, then all of a sudden I wanted it to go somewhere. I was never good at the playing the game. In fact, I was abjectly horrible at it because I just, I'm like, but I had friends. I did have male friends dudes that would just walk into a room and within 10 minutes, like a woman is so engrossed in whatever their story they're weaving, and I'd be like, this guy's boring as hell. What's happening? He has no good stories. He's not funny. All I had was a bit of a sense of humor and height. That's what I had going for me.
Yeah, the height thing. Yeah, that works for you. Women like the tall guys, for sure.
That was it. And then of course this voice, this gift from the gods. I think
yes.
I think I sense in you a subtle ennui. What's wrong? You can tell me. Nah,
Stop it.
not my. No,
You stop it.
And pull out a pipe, light it up.
Candace, you're kind of getting turned on, aren't you?
No, I know.
She's conflicted. She doesn't want to feel this way about a coworker. What's happening?
It's the way he said ennui.
Hey, this is Steve Gorman, and this is the best of the KQ Morning Show on 92 KQRS.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
Looting's not quite the same as shoplifting. And there was a story that a lot of Bay Area stores, Targets, Walmarts, they've been locking up high-price items for quite a while now. If you want to get any tech, a video game, you got to go to the guy and say, hey, can you unlock this for me? But now socks and underwear are behind lock and key.
That's just
in
weird.
A lot of big box stores.
People are great out there.
People are being told to wait till we can get someone with a key to buy boxers.
Wow.
Reason 9,475 to never live in California. There's some residents out there.
It comes to the point like how ghetto does it look that they have to lock up the socks or whatever it is that they have under key.
If I was getting socks right now, it would be very inconvenient. I'd be very upset. I got to call somebody to come open up the counter for me to get socks.
That is crazy to know that the socks and the underwear are being put under lock. The cost will go up. Our residents will have to pay more, or they'll have to commute and travel farther to pick up their groceries, to pick up their socks, and it's really going to be hurting our community.
You could ask someone to unlock it before you jog down to the next Target, but yeah, that's nuts. But people are just walking out now, and in California, I think in a lot of places, in Washington, I know in Oregon, they're like, yeah, you know what, pick your battles. We're not going to, if people are shoplifting something, we're not going to make a big federal case out of it. And
man, that's tough for me because I grew up in an age, and maybe you two gentlemen can relate. Candace, I don't know what was going on in your wacky generation, but I came up of age at a time when shoplifting was simply a rite of passage.
Yeah.
Was it illegal? Sure. Was it immoral?
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Was it cool as hell? Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, don't do it. I mean, we're not condoning it in any way, but
No.
we got into a whole school thing. All our buddies, went out to the Huron Mall there, and it was like, who can shoplift not only the most expensive item, but the way you shoplift it too. And we got busted because there was a narc in the group, the principal's kid. Who knew? Don't brag in front of her. She's going to tell everyone. And, in the end result was I had to write an essay to Radio Shack because I did win, by the way. I shoplifted a pocket knife to cut the transistor radio, and they had the little loop, the little cloth loop on them that you hang it around your wrist with your transistor radio.
Yep.
Walk around, look super cool. And then I cut that from the security line with the pocket knife that I had just shoplifted. Got away with both of them until I was narked, and then wrote an essay and never shoplifted again.
Did you steal a pen to write that essay?
I should have stole a pen, but no, I did that in typing class, actually.
Yeah, I had the benefit of having older brothers, one in particular who took it upon himself to school his younger brothers in the ways of thievery and to how to elude detection.
Yeah.
But then, of course, he got popped. He was in high school. I was in elementary school, and he got busted at the mall. He was trying to lift a shirt. He tried on a shirt and then put his sweatshirt over it and just walked out like, I got this. And when he was pulled into the side room by mall security, Paul Blart, 70s mall car, caught him and pulled him in. And my brother looked the guy dead in the eye and goes, "Sir, I can't steal. I'm Catholic."
Oh, well then.
And the security guard said something to the effect of, "You have a lot to learn about Catholics." And then Jim's like, "That's offensive." And the guy's like, "You're wearing a shirt, dude. I see it." But there was a lot of that. But little things. I mean, it was literally like, gum in your pocket and a extra thing of Wacky Packs. Like, like the idea of you put 4 packs of Wacky Packs at the 7-Eleven and go, "Give me 3 of these." And sometimes the guy would just ring you up for 3, and you're like, I'm ready to take on James Bond now. I'm a master villain.
I got busted stealing a Choco Light candy bar that I'd stuck up my sleeve. I thought I was super sly.
Oh,
yeah. I called my
They
parents.
bust you.
It was it was humiliating.
Wait.
Oh yeah, parents were all. And
your parents caught you?
And they called mom and dad.
Oh, they call. Oh, you got caught. Then they called your parents. Oh, that's rough, man.
Yeah, it was embarrassing.
My dad. It's funny. One of the consequences of having a dad like mine was instead of taking the easier path in life and just doing the right thing, we spent thousands of man hours crafting ways just to not get caught. We could have just not done the crimes and not broken the rules, but it was more like, no, eluding the old man was far more. I mean, it's that old thing of like, gosh, if these drug dealers had just gotten business degrees, they'd be Fortune 500 execs. They're brilliant. They're just doing the wrong thing. Yeah, that was us. That was the downside of the Marine dad, upbringing things. Good old fashioned malfeasance, childhood mostly shoplifting. Here's a comment on the KQRS Facebook page. Not a childhood shoplifting situation, but an accident. And we can probably all relate on some level. Linda wrote, "I forgot to pay for a case of water that I had in the bottom of the shopping cart. Realized it when I was loading it into my car, reaching into my purse for my receipt and closing the door with my foot. I turned weird and fell. I ended up breaking bones in my hand and spraining my wrist.
Lesson learned. That's called quick karma right there.
Yeah.
But it was an honest mistake. I mean, she was on her way to fix the situation when that occurred. These things happen. I mean, come on, especially in an age of check yourself out stuff.
My sister,
Here it comes.
My sis texted me. When I was a kid, I was in a hardware store, and they had it was a fountain you could attach to your faucet at home to make it like a little fountain.
Okay.
And a big heavy piece. And of course, I took that, and I only got caught because I opened the package and it fell and dropped on my toe, and I started to cry. So my parents busted me. I mean, what did I think, though? I could just install it myself and no one would know the difference?
Yeah. I got a feeling you wouldn't have made it in prison. You crybaby.
I would pay money for a Tony Lee as a child documentary series. If there was suddenly found footage of you just going about your day, just that mind of yours racing. I think I need that fountain. You're 5 years old. That'd be incredible.
Heisted it. I still am very drawn to shoplifting for some reason. Little things.
Yeah.
That's a risk, There's an adrenaline rush there.
Yeah.
But it's, you get all, and we know the difference, There's some things that we like to do, kind of take some risk, but we think, better not.
My older brother Tom, he was the one guy in the family who had a gadget brain. Like he could just like take the toaster apart. Instead of I'd be worried about plugging it in correctly, and he's reassembling it. He was that guy. But he had a thing as a kid, and it was legendary in our family. But I mean, not about shoplifting, but just my mom explained to him once. He reached his hand up and touched a hot pan on the stove, and she was like, "You cannot do that!" Like she slapped his hand away, and then he put his hand up again, and she goes, "No, Tommy, you can't do that." And she pushed his hand away, and then went for the third time, and she slapped his hand. And he cried, and with tears in his eyes, he went for the fourth. He just kept. I have to touch that hot pan no matter what. And it was always a thing that my mom. I heard that story a million times growing up. But there's just certain things you're just compelled to. You just can't. I know this is bad, but I have to do this. I have to see what happens. Yeah. This isn't a stealing story, but this is one of those. It just made me think when the comment about someone who forgot to pay for water. The most embarrassing moment of my adult life, probably in a retail situation. I am at a gas station. I am pumping gas. The thing's pumping itself. I set the little clicker, and then I'm like, I'm going to go in and buy something in the store, whatever it was. I'm in the store, and while I'm in there, I get a phone call, and this is about it's from my former band's manager, and there's some sort of a thing is blown up ahead of a tour. There's just an argument there's an issue. And I actually remember what the issue was, but I'm not going to talk about it on the air. And I'm furious. And I walk out of the store. And I walk out of the store, and I'm like, and I'm on my phone. This is, holding it to my ear. This is years ago. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I can't. I'm going to kill him. And I'm just going and going and going. Yeah. And I walk right around my car, which still has a gas pump, a nozzle in the gas tank. I get in the driver's seat, I turn on the car, and I just gun it.
Oh, boy.
Yep.
And what that did, the nozzle didn't rip out of my car. The hose ripped out of the gas pump.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I just heard this, and I look at the thing, and I'm like, holy crap, I just pulled away from a gas station with the thing in the tank.
Oh my God.
And I felt, that's the kind of thing, if I saw someone else do that, I'd just be laughing about who could be that stupid.
Right.
Well, the answer is me. And I put the car in park, and I was just so profoundly disgusted with myself and embarrassed. And I take the nozzle out of my gas tank. I close put the cap back on, close the hatch, and I have to drag this whole hose back across the parking lot, and I just lay it by the pump, and I walk into the store, and the clerk's just sitting there, not another customer in sight. He's just like, dude, and I go, hey, man.
Yeah.
I just drove away from the pump, and I had the hose still in the car, and it ripped out. And I don't even know what to say. And I'm imagining like the Exxon police are going to swoop in any second now. And I don't know what's going to happen. And this is what the guy says. He goes, "Oh, thanks for telling me, man. People just leave it and drive off." Yeah. And I said, "Wait, this has happened before?" Sure. And this guy literally goes, "This happens once a month."
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, wait, really? I couldn't believe it. He couldn't have cared less.
It happens so often that they put a measure on. The reason the gas doesn't come flying out is because people drive off and they pull the hoses out, so it's got a little seal in there that locks it up. But there's an entire website dedicated to people just like yourself, and mostly they're photographs, and mostly they're people driving down the interstate. With a
really?
It's just flopping out there, like a big old tail of stupidity.
Thank God I noticed it still in the parking lot. If I had entered traffic and been, I probably would have stopped driving. I would have burned my license. That was just, I don't know why that specifically. I mean, there are worse things I could have done, but I walked around for days just trying to shake that thing off. I felt so stupid.
Yeah. Well, I hope things got resolved, the issue.
Oh, God, no. I wrote a whole book about it.
I wrote a whole book about it.
It's in there.
Are you kidding?
I love it. That's fantastic.
That's fun. And don't let anyone ever tell you that being in a band isn't fun. That's all it is. Fun.
Fun.
You get passionate young lads with a song in their souls. These things happen.
What was that VH1 series, Behind the Music? We
watched
those. We know.
Yeah.
It was nothing, but there was very little fun, in fact. The first album was fun, and then after that, every band, we would do parodies. Of Behind the Music, and then drugs and alcohol and arguing and all of that good jazz.
When we did our Behind the Music, I remember thinking, what's there to tell? No one's been killed. No one got arrested.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking there's nothing to this story. And then I saw the Behind the Music and I went, yeah, there's nothing to this story. I was like, it's like some of the ones are so dramatic and they're so, we had stupid band dysfunction like any band, but when I was watching it, I was like, my first thing was, I hope I don't come off like whatever. I thought, no, that's how I see myself for the most part. I was fine with my interview segments. And everybody, I was like, no, everybody, that's us. That's okay. That's real. And then I was like, but this is not, this is not like, Vince Neil DUI killing people stuff. And it's not like, we didn't take our master tapes and throw them in the Mississippi River. I was like, there's nothing good about this. I don't know. Maybe that's a little too close to it, but I just didn't get it. I was like, okay, we're all fighting with each other. Whoop-de-doo.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
I got it. Behind the Music, Black Crows,
there
VH1. All right. That'll sit down with that a little bit later on.
I heard about that from my mom back in the time when she would still call and say things like, honey, I don't know why you cuss like that. Like, Mom, I'm in my 30s. It's okay. It's just what it's going to be. What is this? What do you mean you choked down a fistful of mushrooms? I don't know what that means. Like, you don't want to know, Mom. You just let that one go.
What does that mean?
Just water off a duck's back.
It's the best of the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
Google creates this list of the most searched questions. They filter through 25 plus billion keywords. They just go through so many things. The number one search so far this year on Google, the top search is this. What time is it?
What?
Seriously.
You're on a device that has a clock.
Yeah.
Is there a device that you can Google that doesn't tell you the time?
I always Google that on daylight savings time, just to be sure.
Okay.
Maybe it's some existential search question.
Right.
Time to look in the mirror.
Yeah.
Time is it really?
What if that's what Google said?
Yeah, kind of like a Chicago thing there. Does anybody really know what time it is?
Time to address that tapping on your shoulder that your subconscious has been trying to get you to notice for decades.
Right.
Man.
The other thing all of our devices have is a GPS now. They always know where we're at and why we're there and when we're there. So I see number 5 on this Google list for the month of January. Where am I? Is that existential too? Existential? I can't say that word. Where am I? You don't. Wow, that's about 500,000 people Googled where am I in January.
Okay, number 8, I've Googled this in the past. How to tie a tie. Because I went so long with it, and I wore ties all the time. I used to wear them on stage. And then at some point, probably shortly after we had our first child, because then all of a sudden, I'm not putting on a tie. I'm going to get vomit all over it if I do. At some point, I stopped tying ties.
And I, there was a time in my life when it dawned on me, like, the only time I ever really wear a suit or have to look nice, it's a wedding or a funeral. And in between, I don't care. There's no event that's going to force me into something like this. But at some point, we were going to a funeral probably 10 years ago, and my son and I are going to wear ties. And I said, yeah, let me show you how this works. And then I looked at him. I go, hang on a minute. And I walked out of the room, and I went and pulled up a YouTube. And I watched a guy tie a tie. And as soon as I saw it, I remembered it. But if I hadn't watched that, I put the tie around. I mean, I held it, and I was like, I totally forget what to do here.
Yeah, that makes sense.
A really bizarre thing. So I'm glad to know I'm not the only guy that can't remember those sort of things.
No.
What year is it? I guess in January, maybe, but still.
Really? You don't. It's numerical, right? You just add one.
Right.
Okay.
It's an ascending thing. Every year it goes up one. Just never goes back the other way. Always goes forward.
Yeah.
It's like the rows on an airplane. Every time I'm sitting on a plane, I watch people. They stop at every. Is that
stop
12?
at every one?
And then
oh my God!
What's that one say? That says 13. The next one says 14.
Oh my God!
And I just sit there every time, going, just God, look at the boarding pass once. Guesstimate. Well, I'm in 23. It's going to be a few steps. Just go a little further before you stop and look again. I'm always behind the guy who checks every aisle, and I'm just like, oh my God, please let me get to my seat.
Just want to kind of hip check him, right? The last time I was on, there was a lady, and I'm sitting on the aisle. 16. Got myself a good row there. Number 16, right?
Yeah.
And she comes walking up, and she's 16. I said, yeah. And she goes, are you sure? I said, oh, yeah, I don't know. So I do that thing. I don't know. I'm going to have sleepwalking through the whole process. Yeah, I'm 16. She goes, because it's really kind of in the middle of the rows. I'm like, all right, she goes, and then she starts counting from the. I'm like, no, it's 16. Come on in. Yeah. Unfortunately, you have to sit next to me. I wish it wasn't 16, but it is. But she wasn't completely lined up, I guess, with the chair. You know how they revamped those planes over the years. I see a lot of people here Googling, in the top 20 anyway, how to deactivate Facebook, how to delete Facebook, how to delete Instagram. That's a January thing. That's it. Yeah, I had it with the social media. People always rebelling. I don't know if they did it or not, but people are curious about it.
Yep. Every golfer has Googled this one. What time is sunset? You're just trying to get how many holes can I get in?
Yeah.
What song is this? I just realized. I remember years ago. What's the app that tells you what song you're listening? Shazam.
Oh, I love Shazam.
SoundHound.
And I had that app in my phone, Shazam. And then after a while, I realized I never used that. I delete it. And then I was with somebody last year, and they just said, hey, Siri, what song is this? Shazam's automatically in your iPhone. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's cool.
I was so excited. I used it like 9 times that day. Every TV commercial.
It's in there.
Just incidental music on. It's incidental music. By the way, I just said that. My phone just lit up. It's now listening to every word I'm saying because I said the words, hey, Siri. And there it goes again. I was watching TV, and every song that plays in the background for a while, I'd like, what song is this? I was just so fascinated. It was like a kid getting his first. I got the training wheels off again, and now, of course, I'm like, I don't care what song it is. If I don't already know it, I don't have time. I have Googled this many times. How long to boil an egg? I cannot retain the information how to do a hard-boiled egg. I have to look it up every time.
Let's be honest. How often do you boil an egg in a year?
Couple, 3-4 times. Sure.
Yeah, you like the hard-boiled eggs.
I'll get excited about like my own version of a chef salad. That's always what it is. I'm going to make a big salad, and I'm like, oh, man, 1 hard-boiled egg, maybe even 2 would be awesome on this. Then I think, I'm going to take the time. I'm going to do this.
God, I haven't boiled an egg, since the girls were coloring them for Easter, probably. I don't get around to that, but I am the guy that will go out and get it. And in the ramen, you get the egg in the ramen.
See, there's always a reason.
Thing.
You can just get the prepackaged hard-boiled eggs now. Get a little bag.
I would never.
They're not as good.
There's something about that. It's really, really gross to me.
It ain't right.
No, it's not right. I got to see that water boiling. I gotta pull that egg out and act like I know what I'm doing. Yeah, obviously.
We need some more natural things in our diet, I think. See here in the top 30, Candace, Googling, why is my poop green and what causes diarrhea?
Oh, I Google bodily fluids all the time.
Really?
Yes.
You're upping the average here, I think. You put them in the top 30.
Does it make sense when you find the answers? Do you go, oh, okay, that's fine?
No, don't Google things like that.
Yeah.
Why does my stomach hurt? Number 18.
Oh, there you
Yeah.
Right there.
I
Wow.
do that all the time.
Bam.
There it is.
That's pretty
What
great.
is Temu? What is TEMU? I don't know. I just saw that at 19, right after why does my stomach hurt? What is that? I don't know.
I don't know that either.
I think it's like a clothing brand site.
Oh, it
or
is.
something.
What does 333 mean? People are Googling that. I mean,
yeah, it's an
No, I mean,
angel
that's
number.
obvious.
It's a very,
Yeah.
very powerful angel number.
3 encourages you to put energy into your own growth and expansion, and then your own journey, and where you want to be, where you'd like to be, and then it encourages you to dream big. Who doesn't know that? I'm just reading an article about it right now. I've never heard of it. 333.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's new to me.
Made up crap.
Yeah, like you said, he's just half a little devil. He's a 333. How long do cats live is on there. And by the way, I guarantee
think that was me.
90% of those are not like, I hope he lives forever. It's like, oh my God, how long do I have to put up with this animal? How long do cats live?
Longer. They live a long time, it turns out. Much longer than dogs on average.
Okay, I don't believe number 48 at all. When is Father's Day? Please. No one's asking.
Yeah, no one's asking. No one cares.
When is Mother's Day? I could see it. Father's Day. How about this one? Okay, I mean, I guess we could probably make sense of why people are Googling this. Who died today? I guess. If you saw like a headline or it's a great, or you see a quote, it's a great loss or something, and instead of just clicking on that link, you go to Google and write who died today. Interesting.
You mentioned his name yesterday, and this is how you mentioned it. Of course, it was his birthday. You went, Gene Hackman. You just said that. You just kind of blurted it out there and then left the dramatic pause, and I went, oh, my God, Gene Hackman died.
Yeah.
He's 94, and he's out there writing plays and stuff.
And so you were, for a moment, a living Denzel gif of the relief. And every Twitter, every time someone thinks someone's dead, they post that thing where he's like,
they do.
The relief of Denzel.
Hey, this is Steve Gorman, and this is the best of the KQ Morning Show on 92 KQRS.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
Oh, yeah, you said the kids in Hall skit about the doors. But speaking of which, we were talking about Fargo Season 5. Dave Foley, large part, Dave Foley of the Kids in Hall, plays the big high-powered attorney in Fargo Season 5.
Oh, all right.
Danish Graves is his name. Yeah, so it's great to see old Dave Foley out there. And then, but in that skit, if you remember, it's a record store skit. And Kevin McDonald walks in, and Bruce McCullough's the snotty record clerk. Right. And he goes, yeah, do you have any, he's asking for records, and he said something about, he goes, yeah, do you have I don't remember what band. He says, so-and-so's greatest hits. And the response is, greatest hits albums are for housewives and lawyers. Which is just both profound and means nothing at the same time. It was great. Yeah. That's the very famous skit where he says, well, do you have the new Depeche Mode? And the clerk, Bruce, goes, yeah, but it sucks.
That's right.
And in 1991, the Kids in the Hall were doing their first tour after the show had kind of become a hit on HBO. And they came to Atlanta, Georgia. And I was home on a break from tour, and I couldn't believe the Kids in the Hall were playing on tour, because I had become, and my whole band, the Black Crowes at that time, we were obsessed with the Kids in the Hall. And so I go down to this little theater in Atlanta to go see the kids, and my wife, we were just dating then, and our buddy Mac. So me, Rosemary, and Mac, the three of us get in. We're sitting there, and the people who are there are all like, you can tell it's all diehards. It's still like a cult thing at that time. And they come out and they're doing the skits. And I'm just like in heaven. I'm like, I can't believe these guys are right in front of me. This is the funniest show in forever. And they do the record store skit. And as soon as the store opens, or the scene opens, everybody in the crowd cheers because everyone loves the skit. And Kevin walks up and he goes, yes, do you have the new, and because they were in Atlanta and we were the it band at the moment, he goes, do you have the new Black Crowes record? Yeah. And the whole place goes, boo!
Oh, that's hilarious.
And I was like, oh my God, the local backlash is at its greatest moment ever. And and they both looked out to the audience with shock on their face. And Bruce goes, yeah, but it sucks. And the place goes, yeah! Like,
erupts.
Blew the roof off the place. And I thought it was hilarious. I'm like, this is so funny, man. And so after the show, I knew the guy that ran the joint, and I said, hey, can I go back and say? I goes, yeah, go ahead. Like, there's no one back there with them. And so we walk backstage. I just knock on the door, and of course I hear, come on in, just a friendly Canadian, sure, whoever that is, we don't care. And I open the door, and just the five guys. They're just sitting there. And I'm like looking at them like they're the new Monty Python, which they kind of were, you know. Yeah. And I go, hey, guys, I just wanted to say hi and just tell you, like, I'm in a band and we're on the road and we watch the show. We really love it. And he goes, oh, what's the band called? And I go, it's I'm in the Black Crowes. And they all go immediately, oh, my God, we're so sorry. We put the name in. I can't believe everybody booed. Like, they were really upset.
The Canadians.
And,
Yeah.
I said, no, it's hilarious. I go, everyone hates us now because we're not, you know, we made it, so we're the enemy of the local scene. And they were laughing. And then Kevin walked over and there was a boombox in the room. He goes, look. And he hits eject and the cassette comes out and it was our first album. He goes, this is we listen to this every night before the shows. It gets us fired up. They were all really into our record. And that was literally the highlight. I've never felt better than at that moment to be in a band. I was like, oh my God, the kids in the hall like our record.
What a great
It was
tale.
great.
Yeah.
And we then took the 5 of them and Norm Hiscock, their lead writer. So me, Rosemary, and Mac take the 6 kids in the hall out to my favorite old stomping ground bar, the late night bar where we always were for years and years. And we had a great night right up until Bruce got arrested and went to jail.
What?
What did he get arrested for?
Because we were sitting around throwing back, having a great night. And at some point, he just stood up and goes, I got to go to bed. I'm drunk. I got to get out of here. And we said, okay. And I said, if you walk out the front door, there's usually an off-duty cop right there, but he can get you a cab like in 2 seconds. Just go get a taxi. He goes, all right. And he walks out the front door, and we all said goodnight. No one thinks anything's what could go wrong? The door's right there. And he walks out the door and 90 seconds later we see flashing blue lights. And we're like, what in the hell's going on? And he walked out, looked at the off-duty cop and said, I need a taxi. And the guy said, okay, give me a couple minutes. And then Bruce took 3 steps and then just decided to pee on the sidewalk right there.
Oh, Bruce.
I got to do this right here, right now. And so he's just urinating in the middle of a sidewalk. That's how drunk he was. And the cop, of course, had another buddy who was on duty right around the corner, gave him the bat signal, and suddenly we walked outside, and he was literally in handcuffs.
Wow, for peeing on a sidewalk outside a dive bar.
And we were like, hey, welcome to Atlanta. I felt pretty bad. I was like, I've never seen that happen before. And his friends in the comedy troupe, they weren't sweating it. They thought it was absolutely hilarious. They were like, way to go.
You bet, man.
Rock and
Although,
roll.
if a buddy stands up at the bar and says, I'm really drunk, I got to go, you almost need to follow him, because, I mean, he just peed on the sidewalk. I've had buddies go out and do some weird things. Maybe just go ahead and someone might escort him to a safe ride. But, that's...
Yeah, hindsight being what it is, he should have. One of us should have tagged along.
What,
I felt bad about it.
Get a ticket for that? No big deal.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
Things are going well. Wait, you're from Baltimore, Maryland.
Yeah, I'm from Baltimore, man. I miss that place. I ain't been shot at in a long time.
East or west?
Hey, man, it's all bad. I was from East Baltimore. I remember when I was 7 years old, I found a gun under my mom's pillow. Ooh. I was like, man, I can't wait for my teeth to fall out.
Oh, my.
Two fairies handing out pistols.
I've got, you may think I'm making this up. I'm not. I have a lot of good friends in Sandtown on the west side.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah. I grew up in Severna Park.
Look at that.
Yeah. A couple of Maryland guys who got out. But no, Severna Park and West Baltimore have very little in common, actually. But same state, that's about it. So you got out. But as a 7-year-old, you clearly could see things with a sense of humor already.
Yeah, you know, I've seen a lot. And that's the reason you said it. You get out.
Yeah.
You got to get out of that place and move on to wherever you want to go to next. And for me, that was California.
Man.
Yeah.
Head west, young man.
Yeah.
And then along the way, I also know, just in reading your bio, not only did you decide to get married and make a commitment to a woman, you married a woman with a kid.
Oh, yeah. I got an older wife. I like women with checkbooks. And she's older.
Helps a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I got a stepson. Me and him were the same age. I call him Step Man.
No, same age for real?
Yeah, he dropped me off at the airport. Yeah. Other day day he had my clothes on. I'm like, you look stupid. He's like, these are your clothes. I'm like, okay.
A step man. I've never heard of that. That's a good concept.
Yeah, people think I'm joking until they see my social media. He's 6'2". He has chest hair. I don't have any. You know, and he works out, so he walks around the house shirtless.
Oh, man.
Which makes me uncomfortable. I'm like, put on some clothes. You don't pay bills around here.
Yeah, really, man. You got to earn that.
Right. But then he'll go, I paid a Hulu. Yeah, but that's $6. I'm like, you can't walk around in drawers if you pay a $6 bill.
Man, no kidding. You did America's Got Talent.
Yeah, that's the game changer lately. Yeah, man. I got Simon Cowell's golden buzzer. And soon as that white man's hand went up, my ticket sales changed. Hey, man, I tell you, I'm watching a lot of shows sell out. Yeah. And it was a great experience on America's Got Talent.
Well, that's the thing I'm always curious about is what we see on TV and what you experience are probably two entirely different situations.
It's possible. You don't see me really waiting backstage to go up.
Yeah.
But as far as the performances go, they were kind of cool with me. I had a lot of material to choose from, and they were rocking with it, helping, to create a story, and I got to meet like Heidi Klum in person. That was wild. Because I'm tall. She's taller than me. And granted, she had on heels, but I'm like, I'm meeting Sofia Vergara.
Oh,
man, I wish I would have met her after the divorce. Man, that would have been... That would have been the perfect timing, but
it's all about timing in life.
Yeah, right.
So
right.
when your first appearance on the show, who were you up against? What other? It wasn't all comedians, obviously. They have everything. Who else was on stage that night? Do you even remember?
Man, I went against a dance group with about 30 dancers that were from like Palestine or something like that. I had a magician who rapped. It was like all hey, man, they were some of my favorites. And you're talking about the first appearance. The second appearance, I remember Josh Blue was with me. He was on the show.
Oh, yeah.
And I've known Josh forever, so it was a lot of competition. It's almost one of those things where you don't even get nervous because it's like out of your hands.
Yeah, sure.
Like, I gotta be funnier than a guy who can juggle.
Yeah, right.
So, like, how do you even measure that? It's just a matter of
true.
Who do they want to advance?
Yeah.
Do you need someone
sense.
black in the finals?
The very pragmatic Mike E. Winfield, ladies and gentlemen. At Acme, 2 shows tonight, 2 shows tomorrow. Tomorrow, 7 o'clock is sold out, as were Wednesday and Thursday. That's a nice turn. You get on TV, like you said, and now tickets are moving. You're bouncing all over. It's got to feel pretty good. You've been at this a while.
It's amazing. Yeah, I got a lot of mature fans. Yeah, they go to bed about 9. So that's why that 7 o'clock show sold out.
Hey, man, that's you're looking at one right here. The older I get, I just can't do it anymore.
Well, look at that. I appreciate it, and I really appreciate them older moms out there. That's my jam.
That's the jam?
Yeah, I like that wear and tear,
Well, you're walking in like you're talking. You're living it.
They used to call me the varicose vein chaser. I really don't care how old. I like when she wears readers. I'm like, oh, she blind too? Okay.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Growing up in Baltimore, though, what were you into as a kid before comedy? Did you play music? Did you play sports? What did you do?
Just not getting killed.
That
was it.
That's a full-time occupation?
You got to be full-time out there. Yes.
Do people still come up to you and say, is The Wire realistic?
All the time. And I'm like, it's really reminiscent when I watch it. Yeah.
It's very, very. I told you, I had friends in Sandtown. And when I started watching The Wire, it was just like, man, they got that down.
Yeah, you can feel moments. And I appreciate a show like that where you can watch it and actually feel the moments of it in like a real space. Now, it's really creative. That's what I want to do. I'm going to have a TV show this year.
That was my next question.
Oh, yeah. My show is going to run for 7 seasons. And it's going to be one of the funniest comedies that anyone has ever seen on network television.
Man, I like a man with a plan.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens. I realized that I got to say everything I want out loud, and it always manifests. It's really real. So I say it all out loud, and I just watch these things happen. That's how I got on television.
Yeah.
That's how I got on AGT. 2 consecutive seasons, everybody. 2 in a row, and I lost both times. Who's done that?
Yeah.
Did you say out loud, I'm going up twice, I'm losing both times?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's what happened. I should have said, I should have spoke a little more specific. I just said I was going to get on. I didn't say I was going to win.
Right. I myself I feel like I've manifested a few things over the years.
Tell me about it.
Just set your mind to it.
Yeah.
You just tell people that's what's happening. It's amazing how often those things actually happen.
Yeah, you just got to do it, you know. But people will abuse it once they know it works. They'll
that's the key,
manifest beautiful women in their lives, and you know these type of things happen. You got to be careful.
A lot of red flags.
Yeah,
you can definitely get in trouble. Mike E. Winfield at Acme tonight and tomorrow night. So do you like traveling? Are you happy on the road? You feel better at home, or do you just like the whole thing?
No, 100%. I love the road because it gives my relationship the balance it needs.
Yeah, sure.
That's the reason I've been married for as long as I have, is because I travel for work.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I understand.
Hey, if we're around each other too much, it's not good for either one of us. Like, bring her in for an interview, and she's like, yeah, I tell him to leave. Yeah. Like, book something. You know, she needs the counters fixed.
I was a touring musician for many years, and about 10 years ago, I finished that full-time touring. And we had been married for over 20 years at the time, or right around 20 years. And the first couple years, it was hard. Like I said, like she's like a war bride. And I came home, and I was just staring at the wall. What the hell? What do I do now? And we had
you're in her space at this point.
100%.
You are interrupting her life.
Yeah, that's what it did. There was a moment. And the kids, too. They were like, wait, you're really here every day?
Yeah, Dad, we like it better when the mailman's here.
Yeah. Hey, man. Corey is good people. I'm a fan of his work myself. So you've clearly been to the Twin Cities before. This is not your first trip.
I can't believe that people. I get it. But there's people that actively stay here on purpose. Yeah. It's 0 degrees out there.
Yeah, it is.
And you had the option to go. Some of you. And you were like, nah, I like 0 degrees.
It's nice up here, man. You
No.
work through the winter, and then the summer is 7
You mean those 2 months you get?
Yes. 2 months. Look at you tossing us a bone and giving us 2 whole months of summer.
Look at that, right? You know, I love it here. The energy's amazing. The people have always been great, you know, so the times I've been here, it's always been good vibes. Like when I'm in other cities across the country and they tell me what places do I like, I always say Minneapolis. Yeah. I enjoy Acme. I enjoy the people, and they're very generous. They're very giving.
It's a legit comedy hotbed. I mean, it's always been that. You know,
yeah, it is, and it's like, what else are you going to do when it's 0 out? Yeah. Go to the comedy club.
That's right. That's right. Tonight, 7 o'clock and 9:30. Tomorrow, 9:30, because the 7 o'clock is sold out. Mike E. Winfield, what is truly... you're going to have a show on network television for 7 seasons. Any more? That's the manifestation we're working on.
What's the pitch?
Is there a literal? Is that actually a plan? I mean, are we being serious? Are you looking at TV? Or are you thinking about developing
I'm pitching a show right now with like bigger producers that I've ever worked with.
Excellent.
And this is the first time I'm walking in the room to pitch, and I have real fans.
That's great.
You know, I've been in rooms before, and we were funny, and they were like, thank you, that was great. Bye. Yeah. And you don't hear from them again. This is the first time I have numbers, and numbers are powerful.
Sure.
Yeah, so that's the difference. But no, absolutely. I'll have this show, and the show is going to be... It's going to be the show to watch.
That's what I hear. That's what I hear. I'm excited about that.
Yes.
So at what age did you actually first think, like, I'm kind of funny. This works. I'm going to pursue this.
Man, that is a weird thing because I feel like a lot of us think we're funny at some point in our life. I think to be able to get on the stage in front of people, that means there's screws loose.
Sure it does.
And this happened in my teens. I just think there is something wrong with me. There is something that makes me comfortable in front of strangers just saying stuff out loud. And, you know, I don't know.
I've used those exact words because I've said many times, like, no, I'm a funny guy, but stand in front of strangers with a microphone, I'm not that. That's a whole nother thing.
Right.
And on a couple of occasions, just to ask to be a part of a group thing where I find myself kind of doing that, trying to amuse, you know, is it
Is it hard?
It's a different
Good
game because you're
Lord.
talking about strangers with expectations. A lot of these places, they spent $5 to get in. They demand greatness.
Yeah. And it's also, by the way, it's not like playing music where you kind of, some people can say like, yeah, I really like that song, but they're focused, I mean, if it's comedy, they're either laughing or they're not. It's
absolutely.
Instant feedback.
Yeah, and they come back like year after year, so they want the new material too. Like, don't try to, because you can play a song maybe over and over again.
Of course.
They might even request it.
Yep.
No one's like, hey, let me hear that old joke again.
Yeah. I saw Brian Regan once, and he came out and literally said, I'm going to give an encore because it makes no sense. And people were shouting out old bits, and so he would do that. And it's still funny, but then he would also make fun of the audience for asking for it. Like, what's wrong with you guys? It was kind of, he was getting
That's
the best
great.
of both
No,
worlds.
man, because he's a great comedian, and he
tremendous.
has loyal fans, you know? And I'm going to find out how loyal my fans are. Currently, they are.
Yeah.
Let's see if they're still around in 6 months.
Yeah, right.
You don't
right.
know. It's been, I just got off of AGT, so everything's still pretty hot right now.
Yeah, sure. Keep on pushing. Keep on keeping on. It is a pleasure to see you, man.
Hey, no, thanks for having me, man. I had a blast.
Hey, this is Steve Gorman, and this is the best of the KQ Morning Show on 92 KQRS.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
That's great.
The best of the KQ Morning Show on 92 KQRS.
The full body deodorant?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a weird thing. Full body deodorants are catching on, apparently. According to Google, people are searching full body deodorants more and more and more every year. This is a quote from what is known as a deodorant expert. We're finding that people are struggling with body odor in general. Men, they focus on their chest and private areas, but for women, it's under the bra.
The boob sweat. Yeah.
Some people take extra showers if they feel they need it. Others use fragrances to layer the clothes to mask their odors. Full body deodorant, just stop, for God's sakes.
Apply it like a lotion. Fingertips, pits, under boob, thigh folds, butt cracks, feet. Below the belt, in your under boob, along your bikini line, your vulva, up between your butt cheeks, butt cracks, boob, butt cracks, vulva.
Butt cracks in the morning.
I don't know what just happened, but I'm already regretful.
There's Europe, that smell. I always feel like I'm going to Europe. But anyway, there's Europe where it can get a little randy. And then there's the United States where we all want to smell like chemicals. Just let a few pheromones get through. It's how we attract each other. It's how boys and girls and boys and boys and girls attract each other. We dig our pheromones. You got to let them out a little bit. Doesn't mean you have to go. We were talking about crazy roommates. I had that roommate that decided that he was not going to use any of that aluminum deodorant that's going to give him Alzheimer's and all these body soaps filled with chemicals. Now he went with the all-natural. Was it called Tom's or something like that?
Tom's in Maine.
Yeah. It turns out it doesn't work.
No.
Turns out he
God,
stunk. It was just smelled like baby powder and body odor and chicken noodle soup. There's a happy medium, but my God, head to toe, stop it.
Yeah, no use for that at all. Do you guys know what the Nextdoor app is? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, my wife keeps tabs on the Nextdoor app, and every now and then she'll just do a screenshot and share a post. And this is one that just came up yesterday. There's an elderly gal named May, and she posts a lot. And yesterday's it was, "There's an awful smell out my front and back door." That was it. That's the post.
Wait a second. House, home, what? Hey.
Yeah. And of course, my first thought was that's just a you thing, May. That's all you.
Outside.
Yeah,
my front door and back door would just be outside.
It could just be outside. Yeah, a lot of those odors. Like let's just say it's a skunk. It's not going to just go. A skunk isn't thinking, "I'm going to fire this guy's backyard up."
Yeah.
And then it looks at the young skunk. No, that's too much. You don't want the front yard to smell. We just want the backyard to smell. That is not at all how that works.
My Italian boyfriend was kind of stinky, but it was like a good, like you said, Zep. I was
manly
into
musk.
it. I was it attracted me, But
the wine helped.
I was at Target the other day, and there was a woman looking at the big display of Lume deodorant, the all-body stuff. And I walked by and just happened to catch her eye, and she got all embarrassed.
Well, sure she did.
Yeah, I don't need this.
Yeah.
It's for a friend.
Yeah. Let your sweat out. Stink a little bit. It's all right.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
Revenge bedtime procrastination. It's a real thing. It can lead to sleep deprivation, which is a lack of sustained sleep over a longer period of time. Sleep deprivation is actually it's phenomenally unhealthy.
Yeah.
Sleep deprivation is a leading cause of all kinds of things, or certainly a significant piece of the puzzle for depression, diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure, stroke, obesity. I mean, if you are not sleeping well, your body it's really hard to drop weight. There's so many things that sleep, you really need it. And so there I am last night thinking about how much I should be asleep while wondering who in the world eats biscuits with chili, because that's what's happening in the final episode of Fargo. Biscuits, really? That's interesting. I'll have to Google that. And then next thing you know, I'm playing a crossword. So, I'm just chasing my own tail. But here's something else. Speaking of sleep, people who sleep naked are more likely to be A, night owls, and B, have nightmares, apparently.
Candace.
Oh, well,
That's you.
Well.
Yeah.
Do you? Okay, so I guess what you're saying, Candace, is you sleep in the buff.
Nude.
Yes, I do. And I'm nude a lot, so my life's like a living nightmare.
Wow. Walking hellscape for you. I'm sorry to hear that, dear.
Do they correlate that for us? Why does sleeping naked lead to nightmares? Yeah, why?
Why do you feel so vulnerable?
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
This is just a survey. They just asked people. It was just a survey of people who, the people who do sleep naked then said, yes, I am a night owl and I do suffer from nightmares more often than the average person, apparently. But then again, people who are more likely to be night owls are also more likely to watch horror films. There may be a connection there. You're drifting off to sleep watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yeah, you're going to have a nightmare.
No, it's usually Seinfeld. So I don't know. Not a lot of this adds up. I do have nightmares when I nap more often than at night.
Oh, really?
Which I'm also naked when I'm napping. But I don't know why. And I think it's
nude.
It's not weird. It's healthy. You're supposed to be naked
on the way home, or do you just wait till you get? All right.
It's healthy to sleep naked. You guys didn't learn this?
No, it's not. Actually, we did a story this last year that you get a bunch of fecal matter all over your sheets.
Yeah, if you don't wash your sheets, dude.
Well, I mean, but you're actually sleeping in the. Listen, I slept nude for many years. I quit doing it. I don't know why. Probably because
of the fecal matter.
Fecal. No, I started cohabitating with someone, and she's like, "Cover yourself."
So weird.
Yeah.
Cover yourself.
Gross. Cover yourself if you want to do this, and then just let it out through the flap.
Fecal matter, feces. I just don't want to be restricted. I need to be free when I sleep.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I have nightmares, not when I nap. I mean, I've had them in the daytime for a nap, but when I get really bad dreams, it's if I wake up, if I have a night's sleep and then I wake up extra early, this is before I was doing morning radio. I was far more aware of this. But, Chauncey wakes up hacking or he's got to go out. Something wakes me up earlier than expected. I get up, I'm up for 20, 30 minutes, and then I go back to sleep. When I do the go back to sleep to get that last hour of sleep, that's when I have the crazy dreams. That's when I wake up.
Yeah.
That's when I wake up from just, I'm in an airplane that can't take off because power lines are blocking the runway and the pilot is yelling in the thing, and I'm looking out the window, and or I'm literally, there's a 6'3" size tornado chasing only me.
Yeah.
Oh, I've had that one.
The tornado's wearing a derby.
Yeah. Well, now he will. He hasn't been before. No, I've had those dreams a lot where I'm like, I'm looking around like no one else sees this tornado. It's my exact size. It's like, and that's so Freudian. Who knows what your subconscious has a problem, Steve, or whatever it is. But that's if I go back to sleep, I always, and that's like 1,000%. But to this day, I would still be like, no, but I think I'm going to try it this time. Maybe this will be the time I fall back asleep and I'm in a rowboat with Diane Lane. But it never works.
No, never.
Just doesn't happen.
Does anybody actually wear like pajamas The bed is pajamas and a little sleepy hat.
No, but
hat, right?
I grew up in a pajama and bathrobe family. There are photos of the Gormans, 8 kids. We took photos. There's 2 things in life where we had cameras out: Christmas, and for a few years in Maryland, my dad worked at a boat company. Every time we're on the boat, we're on the Chesapeake Bay boating photos and Christmas photos, just tons of them, and birthdays, but not as many, but like just the, hey, you got an A on your report card. The last thing anyone thought was, let's get a camera. It was like, okay, good, do it again, But in our family photos, there are pictures, and you were looking at a mom and a dad and 8 kids all in full-length pajamas. I'm like, what were we endorsed? Did we have a J.C. Penney endorsement for the family that I was unaware of?
I was just, it was photographs where you always got dressed up. Now they're so casual, we don't think twice. But they were staged and dressed up. I sent you around Christmas. We were trading some old Christmas photographs, and there were my mom and my brother and I in the photo, and we're in our PJs and robes, all properly tied up right there by the Christmas tree. Mm-hmm. A nice stage photo. But that was rocking it back in the day, but yeah.
Sure.
You had to get dressed up for dinner to come to the dinner table, not for lunch. Lunch, you just came in out of the field just as grubby as you please, but you got cleaned up and you put on not a suit or anything. It wasn't quite the 1950s when I grew up, but Mom wanted you looking nice for dinner.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, sure. I mean, there was at the very least, I had a thing where when I was wearing a T-shirt, I would kind of chew. I would put the shirt in my mouth, like lift the collar up and chew on it for a little while when I was a kid. And I just remember, so my collar, in fact, I think my 3rd grade class photo, you can see that I had been chewing my shirt collar before the picture.
The frayed collar.
Yeah, my mom was like, oh, my God, what are you doing? But I was sent away from the table a few times. I'd walk in and she'd go put on a shirt you haven't put in your mouth. And I'm, okay, sure. She didn't sound like that at all. She was like, honey, go put on a shirt you didn't put in your mouth. But still, I had to do it. And I'd get up and I'd be like, oh, come on.
I wonder what it would be like to have dinner naked.
Ask my mom and dad. They don't like the crumbs. Dad did not like the crumbs. Think about that. You're going to get crumbs in hard-to-reach spots. That's it. Although, there's a naked restaurant out in California, right? They're doing
They do the pop-up thing, yeah. You can go in. Candace, wait, are you telling me you've never had a meal naked?
I've had snacks, probably.
Okay.
Not a full meal. I don't.
Wait,
tonight's the night.
Maybe
hold on.
Devani's.
So hold on. You're telling me you're going back to this whole naked sleeping thing. If you're going to take a nap in the middle of the day, you go
naked.
Really? You're sitting on the couch.
I'm sorry.
Like, I can put my head back and close my eyes.
No, I'm not a couch napper. I go straight to the bed. My bed is so comfy. I got so many blankies and
stuffed animals.
It's such a commitment.
So much fecal matter.
It's
just in everything.
Oh my God.
Do you watch
I don't
the stuffed
believe
animals?
that.
No.
Well,
not. You're a clean sleeper. You're not a guy just laying them wet farts down in the middle of the night.
Remember on Leave It to Beaver, they had to get dressed for dinner. They would go upstairs and go get dressed for dinner, and they come down in a suit.
Yeah, right. It was a suit. Yeah, like I said, we didn't. The dress code had relaxed a little by the 1970s, but yeah, that was a mom thing. And then by the time I got a little older, and I was like, hey, girls, do you mind putting on some decent clothes? We're going out to eat at a restaurant tonight that isn't named Applebee's. Can we? Geez, Dad, this is fashion. I mean, so after a while, I'm like, come on, I run a brush through your hair? I mean, it's like you just came in out of the woods, but I lost that battle.
For people who look back and go, man, what happened in the mid-'60s? Why did everyone grow their hair and start doing drugs? That's the answer, because we used to put on dress slacks for dinner in our own home without company.
I don't want a haircut, and I'm wearing a tie-dye to dinner, Mom.
And by the way, Mrs. Cleaver, always wearing like a pearl necklace, too.
Right.
She'd be vacuuming in her Sunday finest.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
My mom was born in 1928. She was 11 when The Wizard of Oz was released. And also, by the way, Gone with the Wind. Two pretty big movies that year, 1939. My mom grew up
two people she focused on, Shirley Temple and Judy Garland. She was big fans of both. Saw herself. My mom was a born performer, a ham, if you will, always on stage and community theater and stuff. And those were two people she grew up looking at like, oh, man, that would be me if I weren't in Detroit, Michigan, living through the Depression. I'd be a movie star. I don't know if she thought that. I'm just throwing that out there. But here's the thing. In my house, when The Wizard of Oz was on, by God, we were watching that sucker. Mm-hmm. The Sound of Music and The Wizard of Oz could not escape them in the Gorman household. If they were on network television, we were marched in front of the TV to watch. Not the case. The Wizard of Oz, the ruby red slippers, as you probably remember from 2005, were stolen from the Judy Garland Museum. The man responsible for that actual theft, Terry John Martin, he is now, we're getting some insight into what led him to commit this caper. He thought, they were actual ruby. There were real rubies on the slippers. He thought he could fence them for a big score. And by the way, when I say big score, I mean it. He was a, quote, according to his own attorney, reformed mobster who couldn't get past the thought of one final score. How many movies have we seen where it's like, we got one last score and that's it, then I retire from this life of crime?
Yeah.
The guy was literally trying to get a final score to ride off into the sunset on. He thought there were actual rubies on the slippers. By the way, unaware of the cultural significance, had no idea there was even a movie reference. He'd never seen The Wizard of Oz.
I mean, what did he think of when he broke it? I've not been to the Wizard of Oz Museum up there in Grand Rapids, Minnesota, but I remember when this happened. We're looking at pictures of it, and it looks like a shack, a dressed-up shack. You know, it's got a fresh coat on it, and he went in through a window that was not locked and removed it from the display case. Not exactly your high-tech crime, but these things were insured for $1 million, and that's what sparked this whole thing. He heard they were insured for $1 million. He thought, oh, that must be encased in real rubies. No, because of the cultural significance. They say they're actually worth $3.5 million, and they were on loan. And I love that they just put them in basically an open shack museum in Grand Rapids in the display case. You know, I'm sure no one locks their doors around there anymore either, but $3.5 million. I mean, you would have thought that if he had got it into the black market, perhaps, but he was just a dimwit. What did he do? He ended up pawning him or something?
He had a fence. He thought he could drop him off, and then somebody, whoever he went to, looked at him and was like, dude, these are just red house shoes. What the hell's wrong? These are slippers. Who cares?
What if he wore them for a while?
Maybe that's
just to see.
Maybe that's really what this is all about.
He wouldn't have clicked his heels. He wouldn't have known. Yeah.
Wow. But regardless, the thing that sparked my imagination the most was the fact that my man had never seen The Wizard of Oz and was even unaware of the concept of ruby red slippers. As I said, I saw The Wizard of Oz many times as a kid. There were a handful of movies we all just had to watch. It's a mad, 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 mad world. Couldn't come on TV without the Gormans all running in front of the TV. Later in life, The In-Laws. There's just certain movies that families adopt. But this guy, growing up, obviously, with a life of crime, he missed out on this entire thing. Tony, you mentioned earlier you have not seen 1 minute of a pretty impactful film trilogy from the turn of the century.
I didn't know it would affect you guys so dramatically. I've never seen any of the Lord of the Rings. Look at you guys.
How can you even understand Led Zeppelin 2 if that's the case?
Yeah, right. I know. I was watching Lord of the Rings.
Tolkien Trader.
Yeah, exactly. And I went, wait a minute, half the Led Zeppelin songs are about this movie.
Yeah. I didn't see it. I didn't see any of them in the theater as they were released. That was baby years for me and Rosemary. But I certainly went back over a few years later and have seen all of them. And I'm not a science fiction guy too much, and I'm not a fantasy world guy too much, but those movies were tremendous to me. I mean, kind of mind-blowing at the time. I was like, man, I really wish I'd seen these in a giant theater on a huge screen, so I get the whole vibe. But did you ever read the Lord of the Rings books as a kid?
No, I did not.
So you're just all flying blind on all of this.
So, must I? Should I? Must I?
No. I mean, at this point, skip it.
Okay.
Yeah, I was assigned that in high school, that stuff. And I was, if you gave me a book, The Red Badge of Courage, I was all over it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like A Bell for a Johnny, a World War II book. I'm all over it. Lord of the Rings, I'd be like, oh, come on, stop. It's a guy with a beard and a staff. Whatever. Yeah. This doesn't have anything to do with my life.
See if you can binge all 3 of them today, but watch the extended versions.
Hey man, that Peter Jackson, my man can work a 3.5 hour movie like no one's business. Boy.
did a 6-hour documentary on the Beatles with another one coming. What would you do if Barb walked up to you, one of our KQ listeners here on the KQ Facebook post? What significant movie or television show have you not seen? If Barb walked up to you guys and said, I've never seen The Godfather. And by the way, she wrote it as 3 different words. Barb's never seen The Godfather. Yeah. Barb, love you, by the way.
Boy, that's another one. I can't, I have a funny memory of seeing The Godfather for the first time. It was on, it was right when we first got HBO, first got cable TV with HBO. I was probably in 7th grade, mid-70s. And The Godfather was on, and my parents were watching it. They'd seen it when it came out in the theater. They were watching it again. And there's a scene, quite famously, where Connie, the sister, her husband is yelling at her and knocking her around a little bit. And Carlo. And that's what gets Sonny to come out before the toll booth scene, the whole thing. I walk in the room during the fight between Carlo and Connie, and he's calling her bad names, and he slaps her. And I thought they were watching Rhoda, the sitcom. And I was like, what is happening to Rhoda? I was really upset.
Joe has lost it.
Exactly. I was like, oh, David Grohl, he's always such a nice guy. And there he is. And I literally thought, oh, my God, Rhoda took a dark turn. And then I was told it was The Godfather, and I felt a lot better about it.
That's hilarious.
I can't imagine not having seen the first 2 Godfathers, because then that led me to then watch them. They were both running on HBO that month, and I actually watched the second one before the first and thought that was mind-boggling. So they're both just unassailable to me.
I haven't seen 3 yet, and mostly because
you're not missing much.
Yeah,
I like
it. That's why. I watched the first couple. I've seen the first one twice and the second one once, and then the third one came around years later. But by the time I was thinking about seeing it, it was out on VHS, and people were like, "Don't bother." So I was like, "Yeah."
It's so annoying. Like, everyone should just shut up.
Why? It sucks. I was
it
there
doesn't suck.
Yes, it does.
Does it make you feel cool to say that? Because I don't get why everyone hates on it
George
so much.
Hamilton in place of Robert Duvall, and Sophia Coppola, who was a great director, is awful in the movie.
Hey, I enjoy it, and I think it was the perfect ending too
Congratulations.
for Michael Corleone. That was exactly the way that he should have gone.
The only scene in the movie that had any impact on me was the final scene when he sits in a chair and it's 30 years old. Spoiler alert, he dies. I was like, oh, but that's just because of the guy from the first 2 movies was dead. It's just my opinion. I don't think it makes me cool to say a movie that I didn't like.
Say it like that they think that they're cool.
That's fine. That's not me. I'm too old to care. I saw it. Hey, Candace, I walked into the theater in Sumter, South Carolina, Christmas Day. Couldn't wait to see it. Had told my girlfriend, let's wait till we both get home after Christmas and we'll watch it together. Lied right through my teeth. Went right to the theater. Watched that movie and felt nothing but,
Zaza.
Come on. Really?
Come on. Andy Garcia. Oh, I like it. I like the third one.
All right, while we've got Candace down, let's kick her. On the 92 KQRS Facebook post, by far leading the pack of the big movie franchises that people have not seen, Harry Potter.
Oh my God, my heart just stopped.
I was a grown man when that came out. It would have been weird if I had watched Harry Potter movies. But yeah, there's a lot of people on here that have not seen any of the Harry Potters. And Star Wars probably running neck and neck. A lot of people just from the get-go, not interested. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Hey, this is Steve Gorman, and this is the best of the KQ Morning Show on 92 KQRS.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
The actress Jessica Biel, we all know who she is, right?
Oh, yeah.
She is on TikTok, and she posted something on TikTok where she explained that as one of the many ways that she loves to multitask. Very busy woman. She's got projects. She's got things. She's got a very busy schedule. She eats meals while showering.
I'm going to need to see video proof of that.
She says she enjoys eating, quote, shower-appropriate items while in the shower. Cereal, yogurt, popsicles, coffee, and tea. Perfectly suitable.
Kramer.
Hey, listen.
I think maybe some of you know this about me, but I love to eat in the shower. I love to eat and drink in the shower. Shower-appropriate items like cereal or yogurt, coffee, tea, popsicles. What? I know, melt factor, but safe, down the drain, anything drops, you're good.
Easy cleanup.
So no hot dish.
I guess not.
Steak.
You guys
I remember
ever eaten anything in the shower? Anyone ever have a beer in the shower, Candace?
Oh, yeah.
Cocktail,
I've absolutely done that. I probably popped like a chocolate in my mouth, and then gotten in there.
Sure.
I've definitely had a beer. You come in, you've been doing let's say yard work or something like that, and then you're going to take a quick shower because then you're going to go out and meet friends. And I got to have a beer, and you're sipping that first beer of the day after your yard work, and then I got to get in the shower. You've already opened a beer. Yeah, you take it in there, have a few sips, but planning ahead and seeing it as a conscious way to multitask. That's given a little bit too much thought. One of my longest buddies, the first guy that I actually started to try to, the guy that called me and said, "Do you want to start a band?" that led me to drop out of college, Clint Steele. What a great name, Clint Steele. And not only did he have a great name, but we started a band, and his proposed band name, which we all voted down, I've regretted it forever because I still think it's one of the great names never used. Angst Ferrari.
Nice.
Angst Ferrari. I'll never forget it. But one of the first days we were all living in this great old rundown flop house in Atlanta, and I opened the bathroom door because there was a phone call for him. His mom called. He was in the shower, and I opened the door. I go, "Clint, your mom's on the phone." And all at one moment, I took in the fact, as he opened the shower curtain to look out to say, "What'd you say?" I noticed smoke because the cigarette was in his mouth as he was in the shower. And in fact, not only that, he didn't just have it on the side of the tub. He had affixed an ashtray to the shower wall. He had I will be smoking in this shower. So I've already got the ashtray in here. Don't worry about it. I was like, now that's the kind of commitment I can get behind. That's rock and roll, baby.
That's an American hero right there.
That was pretty great. But just seeing him, his hair completely soaked and all slicked back. And then just the shower curtain opens. He leans his head out sorry, what was that? I couldn't hear you. And the cigarette dangling. And every bit of his body's soaking wet. And that cigarette's just torched up. I was like, man, that's the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Talking about childhood obsessions on the show, various things on the KQ Facebook page. A few people have chimed in. Weird obsessions. Something you were obsessed with as a kid that would seem weird today. Becky wrote, "My black members only jacket. I wore it even when it was 90 degrees outside." Did anyone have a obsession over a piece of clothing you wore no matter what the conditions?
Oh, yeah. For
what
sure.
Do you got?
Yeah.
You remember
in fact,
specifically?
I still have it. It's in tatters. I can't wear it any longer. It wouldn't even be a half shirt on me. But it was a Dick Butkus jersey. That I picked up when I was a kid, and I was a hardcore Steelers fan. But Dick Butkus, I mean, they played that every Saturday on one of the networks. The Dick Butkus, when they say middle linebacker, they mean Dick
Monsters of the Midway.
Yeah, so you had to love Dick Butkus. Besides, they weren't in any danger of ever beating the Steelers, but horrible Chicago teams with Sayers and Butkus in the same draft. But the number 51 jersey, just an old tattered T-shirt now.
I had a not a full jersey, but a T-shirt that was designed to look like a jersey. Like in the old days.
That was what mine was. Yeah.
But it was Bubba Smith, and as a kid, I was a Colts guy, Colts lifer until they moved, and now I want them to all die. But my Bubba Smith shirt, I wore that thing it was big on me when I got it, and I was still wearing it when it really looked inappropriate. It looked, it was just like. And I'm 9 years old, and people are like, "You're not going to Studio 54, dude. Get a shirt that fits." I mean, it was. I outgrew it. I refused to let it go. I was like, "No, man, it's my Bubba Smith." Never a concept of getting a new Bubba Smith shirt. Oh. That wasn't part of the mix. But I also, I had a jacket too that I was only able to wear for a short time because I was growing rapidly. But I was in, I guess, 4th grade, and my mom bought me a windbreaker that looked like a leather jacket. It looked like it had like it was designed to look like a fake. It was kind of shiny, and it had like fake zippers on it and stuff. Like it looked like a biker jacket, but it was just a vinyl windbreaker thing. But it was designed to look like a real jacket. Wow. And I came home from school one day, and my mom said, "Honey, I got this jacket for you," and I was confused. I literally remember being like, I don't understand, because it wasn't a hand-me-down. I'd never seen it before. It was brand new, and it was for me.
Oh,
that didn't happen.
Very own.
And I was like, oh, my God. I put that thing on, and I'm up in my bedroom, or I shared a bedroom with Doug and Dave. I'm in the bedroom for the three of us, but I'm by myself, and I'm standing in front of the mirror for what felt like hours, just like, this is the greatest jacket. I can't believe I have this. And the next day I go to school, and it was like spring. It was already a warm day. Nobody's wearing a black windbreaker on a perfectly sunny 71-degree day except this guy. And I walk into class, and I'm wearing it, and I'm like, no one's really saying anything. And then I'm like, well, it's probably too warm for this. And then I get up right before school starts, and I put it in my locker. I go back into the classroom, and about halfway through that first class, that jacket is in my locker. It's talking to me the whole class. Come and get me. Come on, man. You left me alone. You know you want to wear me. I was obsessed. I couldn't think. And I raised my hand, and I said, Miss Rosmarinowski, I'm kind of chilly. Can I go get my jacket? And she was like, okay. And I walked out to the hallway, opened the locker, and I slide it on, and I walked back into class. And again, no one says a word. And I'm like, they're all jealous. Nobody can touch the coolness of this jacket. And they were so jealous that no one ever mentioned it, ever. I was convinced I had the coolest jacket in the world. That never got a raised eyebrow from anybody. And that's at a time when you can't do anything without someone commenting on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get a haircut, you get a tiny trim, and someone's like, who butchered your hair, Gorman? You know, and I'm like, this is the one time I want everyone to notice, and no one ever said a word.
They probably did.
Not that, well, if they did, it wasn't loud enough to my psyche to register.
I had a sweatshirt. It was bright yellow, and it had a cartoon drawing of a bull on it, and it said bull shirt. And I was like a badass, and I wore that until it deteriorated.
If somebody wrote that on a piece of paper and said, which morning of the morning crew had this, it would have been Tony, clearly. That's such a Tony shirt. Oh, my gosh. Did you get that yourself, or was it given to you?
Mom and Dad got it for me.
Oh, it's good, Mom and Dad. Yeah. Talk about setting your kid on a course. That is
controversial.
Fantastic. Candace, I'm almost afraid to ask if you ever had clothing you were obsessed with as a kid.
I can't think of clothing, but so I just thought of this topic because I was in Target the other day, and I ended up buying a magazine. And I haven't bought a magazine in forever, but it was a Stevie Nicks photo book magazine.
How could you resist?
Right. And it was $15.
Whoa.
Oh, how many pages?
Not a lot or not much? I don't know.
I don't know. I haven't bought a magazine since I was a kid. But anyway,
yeah, that seems like a lot.
A lot.
Oh, okay.
But when I was little, I'm just fighting this urge to cut them all out and put them all over my walls, because that's what I was obsessed with when I was little. My room, you couldn't even see the color of my room because it was just plastered with posters of Leonardo DiCaprio, Christina Aguilera, cats, weird stuff, all over my walls. I loved magazines.
Yeah, okay.
Me too.
Yeah, boy, magazines to me just meant Sports Illustrated. Usually showed up on Friday or Saturday. And then imagine my surprise when I found out later in life other people in the country were getting it on Wednesday. I was like, wait, you mean you had it midweek? What the hell? I had to wait till the weekend? And that was the good thing about Sports Illustrated in the 70s. I'd be reading a story on a Friday or Saturday about a game from last Sunday and thinking, finally, I can get the information I need.
Oh, right. Yes.
You know what I mean? I watched this game on Sunday afternoon, Lakers-Celtics, Game 4. I'll wait till next Saturday to get the full breakdown from Sports Illustrated. And I was completely content with that setup. Yeah, magazines. That's where I get all my information from. It was a good time.
I used to get so many, and now they're 4 pages, and they're all ads, and they're too expensive.
I was
bad for the planet.
Yeah, big Sports Illustrated reader, and I definitely, in the early 2000s, it became apparent that even then they were shortening all the articles. They were just no one's got time to read 6 pages about a college coach they've never heard of. But back in the 70s, you'd be like, I've never heard of this guy. Give me 6 pages. Yes, I want to lay in a hammock and read all about a Division II football coach. Just obsessing over every page of Sports Illustrated. Yeah. I went into a flea market in Cadiz, Kentucky years ago, and they had a ton of old Sports Illustrateds, and I literally was flipping through. This is from 75 to 85. I remembered... I'm not making this up. I guarantee you 90% of the covers I immediately was I totally remember this article, and I'd go flip through it. Stuff I had read and I'd read each article 3 times and then never again. But man, at that age, your brain is such a sponge. It was, and the same with old Rolling Stone magazines. Oh, yeah. Grab a Rolling Stone from like the early 80s, and I'd be like, oh my God, this is the one where Ray Davies says he always thought the Kinks were as big as the Beatles, and he was wrong, or whatever bizarre interview thing I would remember and obsess about at the time. Completely insane. On the Facebook page, Jay Griffiths wrote that he was obsessed with salamanders as a kid. Well, but that's not weird if you're a biologist, if you work at the zoo, or if you're a science teacher, you're still into salamanders.
You bring them in the house. That was a big thing for a farm kid. I was obsessed with bringing animals in the house, flicker tails and all sorts of varieties of birds that broke more than one window.
You're like a giant house cat.
Yeah, really. But I didn't bring them in dead. And lay them at mom's feet, half-eaten, just the head, just the upper half of the body or something as a gift. They just would get loose in the house. I'd sneak them in. I'd be, Mom, I lost a squirrel in the house. Brian? And then you'd hear something upstairs, and it's that squirrel, get the squirrel or whatever, But there was all sorts of, and especially reptiles.
Yeah.
Any creepy crawly. Yeah, I wanted to bring in frogs. My God, I brought so many bullfrogs in the house.
It just occurred to me, I know we're talking about 70s and 80s, but when you tell stories about your childhood on the farm, in my brain, it goes sepia-toned Dust Bowl era. Like, that's what I picture. Like I picture you, but a kid in the 40s or something, or late 30s. Right. I'm really, no, wait, you were still listening to rock music and you were still doing these things, but you also were living this life where I imagine on a summer day, if you didn't have chores or something to do yet, you just left and just wandered and investigated and explored to a level that no kid today could possibly imagine.
Thistle in your mouth.
The what was in my mouth?
A lung thistle.
What's a thistle, Tony?
I don't know.
From the fields.
Google 2 words: thistle, lung thistle, and sepia tone.
Zep's like, what are you talking about? I was in the underpass smoking joints. I wasn't living some beautiful, idyllic life of exploration. I was getting stoned and I was huffing. I was doing whippets.
Yeah.
What the hell's wrong with you?
Playing doctor out in the trees with Michelle Gildemaster.
Well, now hold on. Now, what a name.
Yeah,
that hussy.
Master.
Yeah.
She was one of those that, straight, kind of greasy hair, had the glasses on, and kind of just a goofy look, gap between her teeth. And then you came back to Woolsey a few years later when she was 20, and she was Farrah Fawcett.
That's like every rom-com has the guys chasing a girl, and then midway through he realizes her roommate's actually kind of cute.
Yeah, all she has to do is remove her glasses.
That's it. Take the glasses off.
Big crush on me. We shared the bus. She had a big crush and gave me I remember a piece of jewelry once. I was like, jewelry? Do I look like a girl? I don't know, whatever my hang-up was at the time. Just not into Michelle Gildemaster. And then, she comes back at 20. I'm like, hey, Michelle. And I, got a big piss off. I can do better than you now. Yeah.
Wow. Man, I remember riding the bus to school in 5th grade. And you remember the candy called Now or Later?
Oh, yeah. Even I do.
Yeah, the first time I heard of that is somebody's like, you like those annihilators? And I thought it was Annihilator. And I was like, Annihilator? That sounds like a cool candy. And I went and looking because there was a girl on the bus that loved Annihilators. And I was like, man, I got to find, maybe I'll just buy some and have some and ask if anybody wants one, and then she'll say, "Oh, you." And I'm at the store and I'm looking for Annihilators the whole time, and I'm like, I can't find the damn Annihilators. And I said something to my brother Doug, and he looked at me. He's like, "What is wrong with you? Now or later?" I'm like, "Oh, that changes everything." And then her name was Stephanie Meeks, and I got the Grape Annihilators on the bus. And then I literally was like, anybody want an Annihilator? I'm not going to eat these. And she just looked right at me and looked right past me, and I was like, oh, damn, that was my only shot.
Oh, man.
And I went home and ate all the Annihilators.
Sure.
That's how it works.
Hey, this is Steve Gorman, and this is the best of the KQ Morning Show on 92 KQRS.
We've been talking about some vacation mishaps. Candace, we have a caller, I believe, who wanted to share a story.
Oh, yeah. KQ listener, trip goer, Lisa from Rochester.
Lisa, good morning.
Good morning.
What do you got for us?
I have a story that Candace might remember because it was our second year my husband and I went on the Punta Cana trip.
Okay.
And we had convinced another couple to go with us, and so we we are down by Rochester, so we were driving up the night before because we had to get on the plane at an ungodly hour. And we get to the hotel, we get booked in, the husbands are taking care of that. Of course, the women are off to the bathroom, and I come out, and we have to drive around the hotel to the backside, to our room. And we get in the car, and they said, okay, so what do we want to do? Do we want to get food? Do we want to check in? I said, I think y'all need to take me to the emergency room. And my husband looked at me like, what are you talking about? And we ended up at some rinky-dink emergency room because I had such horrible pain. It turned out I had a kidney stone.
Oh, no.
I was going to say gas, but yeah.
And I said, you need to figure this out because I need to be on a plane in about, 6 hours. So I spent the night up all night hoping and praying it would pass before we had to get on. They sent me with a handful of Oxy and my little strainer kit to take on my trip to the sand. And on that trip, my husband also got the worst sunburn ever, but he ended up winning $100 for the worst sunburn, if you remember. And we ended up spending most of that on aloe vera cream. And
poor dear.
No.
Oh, God.
Listen, Minnesotans headed for warm weather. Just lather up. Just get looking like Candace. You want to be all white, head to toe, in sunscreen.
Well, and he said, "Oh, I don't wear sunscreen. I don't need it. I'm a man,
Yeah,
and it's a lot cooler by the ocean, but the sun is a lot more intense. And he was.
Turns out the sun is the man, right? Yeah, in those situations.
And being the man that any man is, he wants to have the story of my sunburn was so horrible, and it's like, yeah, dude, kidney stones. Okay, you're in second place.
Right,
you can't.
exactly.
No one cares about your little sunburn. Okay.
Distant
I
second.
would sooner give birth 4 more times to my kids than have another kidney stone.
Well, I was going to ask, is that the only time that's happened? One and done?
No, it's happened.
Oh, no.
Since,
Sorry.
But now I can predict it.
Okay, well, man, hang in there. Good luck to you. That's rough.
Oh, that's
so far,
awful.
you're sitting you're the clubhouse leader for worst moment on vacation. If that's any consolation right now. Thanks for the call.
Yeah,
Thanks, Lisa.
That is the worst moment. Thanks, Lisa. But I think this is the funniest one. David, on the KQ Facebook page, got drunk in San Francisco. Had to pee in the middle of the night. Went to the bathroom, shut the door behind me. I then realized I'm naked in the hallway.
Oh, sure. You know what I call you know what I call getting drunk in San Francisco?
What?
Going to San Francisco.
Right.
There's a handful of places where I just get there and suddenly I'm like, where's that drinking hat?
My drinking hat.
San Francisco's one of those places. You're just like, the energy here's odd. I better drink a whole bunch of beer. Yeah, man.
Oh, how about a lease? They borrowed a hard plastic topper, for the pickup, one of the toppers. They're driving down to Georgia from Minnesota. While driving through Ohio on the turnpike, the plastic top lifted off, flew across the turnpike into the ditch. They didn't even know it. Thankfully, no one was injured, but they did leave the plastic topper in Ohio on the turnpike that they had borrowed.
I've been driving. I was driving my brother's pickup truck in 1987 with that plastic camper topper on the back, and I was on a very, very congested 6-lane freeway, and that thing just blew right off at 70 miles an hour. And there was a car right behind me. And right before it blew off, I think the guy saw it shaking or something because he just jerked over to another lane and missed it by seconds. It probably would have, I can't imagine the damage it would have caused. And I'm just driving in this little Chevy, tiny little pickup truck, and all of a sudden just the sound changed, and I look back, and that thing is blasting back off the back of the truck, and it landed, it bounced. It hit the highway, the lane. I'm in the left lane, and it bounced once and immediately, shot to the left, which is towards the giant concrete median, and just came to rest against the median. It didn't hit another car. It got off the road on its own.
Nice.
It was a miracle shot that somehow nobody else was injured or killed or destroyed. It could have been only worse than it was. It was the perfect possible way for that thing to blow off at high speeds. Wow. And by the time I could get over 5 lanes to the next exit ramp. I had missed an exit. By the time I could pull up the highway, go up the ramp, turn around, go back the other direction, because I'm like, I got to go retrieve this thing.
Yeah.
By the time I got back even close, it was gone. Somebody had just scooped it up.
Weird.
Yeah, it was totally gone.
Hey, look at that perfectly good topper just laying there.
And by the
for
way, you
anyone
know
to
who
think like
never
was on a
believed,
boulevard.
and you know who didn't believe one word of that story? My brother, whose truck it was. He's like, I can't believe. Would you sell it? That's what he said. Yes, I sold your camper topper.
Yeah, because that means he probably didn't have it secured properly.
Well, of course he
That
didn't.
wasn't-
Of course he didn't. I'm like, what's wrong with you, Candace? Do we have another caller?
Yes, we have John from St. Paul.
John, good morning, brother.
Good morning, brother.
What do you got for us?
Well, I was probably 12 years old out in upstate New York visiting family on vacation. My cousin had gotten a new bike, and the road they lived on, the one end of the road was a super steep hill. I mean, steep enough to where nowadays I probably wouldn't let my kids have went down it at that age.
Sure.
Just because the speed you get going down it, you don't even have to pedal. It's obnoxious. Well, I took my bike up there, and I thought, I'm doing this. Well, not my bike, my cousin's bike, and I start flying down the hill, and I'm moving, and I'm screaming, having a blast, and all of a sudden, boom, something hit me in the eye. And by the time I realized what it was, I wiped out, crashed into the weeds, got up, and I had gotten stung right directly on the eyeball.
Oh,
man. And
I'm closing my eyes.
My eye was literally this. It looked like you had taken a softball and put it in my eye instead.
Oh, man.
Absolutely. I think that was the second morning, or that was the first morning of waking up on vacation. We were there for 2 weeks, and it was 2 weeks. All I wanted to do, I kept telling my mom and dad, I just want to go home.
Yeah.
I just want to go home. And I just remember that whole 2 weeks was just, I mean, I was everybody. We'd go anywhere, go into McDonald's, going to town to get McDonald's. Everybody's looking at me like, what the heck happened to him? Because my eye was massive.
Oh, man.
Oh,
That's my first stung in the eyeball story I've ever heard.
God.
And even the doctors, when they took me to the doctor, they said, he actually stung you on the eyeball.
Oh, stop. Wow. I can't take it.
I know. Oh, God.
You didn't. I would imagine the first thing that comes to mind is, well, clearly you lost vision and they had to get rid of your eye, but obviously that didn't happen.
Nope. But I'll tell you what, I couldn't. My face hurt so bad for I think it took almost a week for the swelling to start to subside.
Oh, did you have supervision with that eye? Could you zoom in on things from a
like Spider-Man
long ways away?
I couldn't see.
No, right? Yeah.
Man, that's
I
awesome.
couldn't see anything, and they were surprised that I even got my eyesight back. The doctors actually thought I was they wouldn't tell my parents, oh, yeah, his eye will be okay. They wouldn't say that to them because they didn't know.
Yeah, well, hell.
No repercussions after that? Everything's cool?
Nope, everything's cool. Everything's copacetic since then. But, man, it was literally, as soon as you guys started talking about big vacation disasters, I was like, oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I bet you don't let a bug get near your face, do you? You don't let a bug get anywhere near your face now. One of those stingers, a wasp, a bee.
I can't stand bees. I can't. Oh my God.
Those sons of
nightmares.
That's all right. Fair. Well, you've literally turned all of our stomachs. Thank you for the call, man. That's great.
Get the KQ Morning Show podcast wherever you listen. 92 KQRS.